Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast, Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand, every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.
Bruce Arians here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During these difficult times, it's important that we all show we care about our community's health. You could spread COVID-19 without knowing it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance from each other, stay strong, and go Bucs.
Realizing my potential has been what my career has been all about. Things that I've dreamed about have actually come true.
And the Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
Things have happened in my life as I kind of hoped they would happen. It's been, just a complete evolution. You know, how I just kept kind of fighting and clawing to continue to power forward. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep trying to make progress. So when I look at over 20 years, I look how far I've come. But there's not one step that I took where I realized, look how far I've come. But those series of steps that I put together, I go, wow, that's quite a journey.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, live here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And as we always start off the Sports Web, bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. Definitely get some questions from you tonight. 727-255-0391. We will be going into the biggest rumor, which happened yesterday. Antonio Brown supposedly being signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll get into that. We'll also have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, the birthday boy himself, How old is he? I guarantee you he'll probably tell you, along with everything that he did today. We'll have him on at 10 o'clock. At 10:10, we will have Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. He'll be talking about around the NFL. And then, of course, we will have Joshua Cole Allen giving his unique perspective, if I can talk. I'm so excited about this show. So definitely looking forward to having Chris Landry on here. Just waiting for him to get on. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and go out to March. You remember Bruce Arians' comments about the possibility of getting Antonio Brown. And then we will have Mr. Chris Landry of Landry Football on the evolution of sports talk television. Here we go.
Is there anything else that is going to happen in this offseason? Because there's speculation that Antonio Brown wants to come down there and play with you. Now, you know him a little bit, obviously, from the Pittsburgh Steelers days. What's the likelihood AB gets back in Tampa? Because I know he has, or at least Tom has had an affinity for him because of his work ethic. You know, forget all the other antics, but just how he works on the field and in practice. It's top of the line.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
There you go.
Not gonna happen. There's no room.
Yeah.
And probably not enough money, but it's just not going to happen. It's not a fit here.
Interesting. Well, there is room though, because you lost Perriman. I don't know if he says I'm coming in on the veteran minimum, coach. I just want to play with Tom. You still wouldn't find a way to get him in?
No.
Wow. Is it just because you don't trust what he could do to the culture? Why so steadfast that you would not give it a chance?
Yeah, I just know him, and it's not a fit in our locker room.
I don't think you need to say anything else. You're not a fan. Understood. Gotcha. Okay.
Good.
I don't blame you. I've said the same thing. I wouldn't risk it.
All right, so there you go. That was from the Tiki and Tyranny show in March. So what has changed? Of course, this rumor came out yesterday, but let's get to the bottom of it because he definitely knows what's going on in the NFL. He has some sources. That would be Mr. Chris Landry. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And like I said, the big story was, Chris, and of course, LandryFootball.com. And stay right here because we got a big announcement that I want him to definitely give all you webheads out there about the Sports Web and Bucs report. But with that being said, JT the Brick comes out yesterday, he hears that he's hearing whispers about Brown signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you have it followed up by Mike Lombardi, who's been around league circles before, been in front offices. You probably are familiar with him. So what do you say? Antonio Brown to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? This can't be Bruce Arians. This has to be Tom Brady maybe pushing this, right?
Well, I think what it is, I think it's Antonio Brown's people pushing it. I think that if somebody's interested in him, and you can connect the dots with the team, then maybe somebody else might be willing to do it. Look, I don't sense that there's any validity to it. Things can change. I think there's always a risk. I think you always try to mitigate the risk with a player that's had some off-field issues. So I always say this, it's like the seesaw. What's the risk versus the reward? A player has to be a great talent, and people say, wow, these guys, knuckleheads, get a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chance because they're really, really talented. The same guy that's not real good, you're not going to deal with the headache. I don't know that somebody's going to bring in Antonio. I think they're trying to reel in enough of the conversation to make it out there to where we'll see if they can gain momentum with having a guy like that. It doesn't sound like the Bucs would have interest. I don't know what Tom Brady's feeling is on it. What we know is that, it's not like Tom Brady and he are like have this long history. I mean, I think he may have spent what he was on there for a few days. So he might have spent time on the couch or one of the guest rooms. And I don't know that enough of a relationship would have been forged. But I think it's certainly people are connecting the dots with that. And look, I mean, they don't know. I don't have any inside information if they're trying to make it happen. I just know this, that it's coming from the Antonio side, and whether they can get the Bucs to bite or not, it doesn't seem like to this point they've had much success. But who knows? I know Lombardi. I work with Lombardi in Cleveland. Right here in JT the Brick. Gosh, I go back with JT the Brick as well. I did radio with him for 12, 15 years in Fox Sport Radio for years. So, yeah, two names from the past. But we'll see. I don't have anything to say that, yes, I think it's going to happen or not. I do think it's very risky, quite frankly. But on the other end, like with New England, people saw it was a mistake for New England to bring him in. Was it really? Let him go. It didn't cost them anything.
Right.
If they did that, would it be any harm? I mean, I wouldn't get my hopes up that he's changed, but then again, maybe some time and time out. Maybe. So I don't know that I would trust him, but I wouldn't be opposed to considering it and investigating it. I don't know that I'd go through with signing them. You always do your due diligence, though. And due diligence doesn't mean, they're on their way to doing it. It just means it's due diligence.
Yeah, and you've been, a scout in this league before. The talent is there, but that's not the question, Chris. The off-the-field stuff, the shenanigans last year with, basically going after Mike Mayock and defying authority and saying some things and quitting on that team, and then finally being able to go with the New England Patriots, be somewhat productive. But he worked his way out of Pittsburgh. He worked his way out of Oakland, now Vegas, and then the off-the-field stuff. So I'm not sure if it's necessarily the talent, because you feel like he still has the talent, and it would be a definite upgrade over what the Bucs have. Of course, adding to Evans and Godwin. But look, they have Tyler Johnson. They have Scotty Miller. Could Brady be thinking about the 400 reps that the rookie is going to miss, namely a Johnson, and thinking Miller and Johnson from some of these personal workouts, namely Miller, is not going to cut it, and that's why he may be pushing for Brown? Or do you think this is Brown's people pushing this?
I think it's Brown's people pushing it. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that Brady, might not have some interest. I would think this.
Mm-hmm.
Without really, obviously I've been talking with him about it and don't know. I would think Brady kind of stepping out for him and it just falling apart in New England with, once he got there. I would think that if anything, Brady's would probably say thanks, but no thanks. That's my thought. Now, maybe he did really want to go forward with Antonio Brown, and it was just the organization decision. Brady was pretty much in step-toe with what the organization in New England wanted. I mean, pretty much it wasn't. I know some of the issues with his own trainer, and I know that was a problem, but with personnel, I don't know, again, that this is Brady pushing it as much as people think. Maybe I think this is what it always smells like. It's the player and his agent pushing it, and pushing it at a place that, well, where would you push it? I mean, this is the most logical place because of Brady, because they had a most recent connection. I think that's where it's coming from. That's my best guess, and it's not something at this point that I don't know that I'd be overly excited about it. I do think that when you look at this situation, when I visited last time with you, we know this is a win now moment.
Mm-hmm.
But is this a guy that's going to be in lockstep with everything that you're doing? I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe that's the coach in me that says this is you got high maintenance players, you got really high maintenance players, and then you got a headache. This guy's an Excedrin migraine.
He really is, Chris. And we're on with Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, worked with Bill Belichick with the Cleveland Browns, extensive research and analysis when it comes to the NFL and, of course, the NCAA college football. And, for me, looking at it from the situation, you have Tyler Johnson. Of course, you have Scotty Miller. You hear Bruce Arians. He's basically saying he would be a problem for the locker room. He's not a fit. So to me, it's a dead issue. And I think basically the agent is trying to drum up interest. If Brown were to go somewhere, do you think it's the Baltimore Ravens? Because that would seem like the logical fit. First, Chris, he gets to play the Pittsburgh Steelers twice a year. And on top of it, his cousin is there in Marquise Hollywood Brown, who everybody goes, Hollywood, on this show. And they expect him to really do some big things. So would the Baltimore Ravens seem like the logical fit, or would it be the Seattle Seahawks?
I don't think there's a logical fit, but I think that the reasons that you mentioned put Baltimore in the mix. Seattle's always willing to, I can tell you that they've had internal discussions about Josh Gordon, who it's another player that I like, but has a different type of problem that it's just over and over and over again.
Sure.
Pete Carroll's always been inclined to say, I'll bring me you're tired. you're unwelcome, and we got a place for him. I don't know that I see a logical fit. And again, I love Antonio Brown, the player. I think the guy's just got a lot of ability, and but the other thing too is guys can fool you, but you'd want to have time to sit down and talk with them and say, to me, I don't know that I'd be willing to take this step, but if I did, I think, pretty clear anybody would want to get into a point where they have to sit down face to face with them, really get a feel for it. And again, not that face to face meeting is they can't pull the wool over your eye because they tell you what they want you to hear, but I'd at least have to go down that path. And at this point, nobody's been able to do that. So I don't sense it. And again, I could be wrong on it. I don't sense that this signing by him with anybody's imminent. Now watch, by the end of tonight's show, it's done. I don't know. Things have a way of happening. I just haven't heard, other than some of those media reports. And you hear a lot of that, and I take that with a grain of salt because most of it turns out not to be true.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it from inside the league. I've heard people in the media talk about it, but as you know, that's a lot of speculation that, what about Antonio Brown? The guy can play. Where is he going to get another shot? Because you think somebody's going to sign. And it's fine to have a conversation. I can't be dishonest and say, I really think it's going to be here or there. I don't really know. But those candidates, the three we've talked about, are certainly guys that you can tie him to if there is a place for him. And we'll see if there's going to be one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now let's go to Randy Moss and his comments on Get Up of ESPN, because Randy Moss always has something to say, and he has some concerns about Tom Brady with the Bucs. I'm concerned about Tom's production. Basically, they were unable to protect Jameis Winston for so long, and if you compare quarterbacks, Jameis and Tom are not mobile quarterbacks. Tom isn't. So if they couldn't protect Jameis, how are they going to protect Tom Brady? During his 5-year career, of course, Winston was sacked 6.2 times, Brady 4.8, second to only Drew Brees, and Brady has never been sacked more than 40 times a year. So does Moss have some type of argument here where you should be concerned? We kind of talked about this last week, but you hear this more and more with people being concerned about Brady and the fit in this offense. And then I have another question to follow up of why quarterbacks throw so many interceptions in their first year with Coach Arians. But Moss, is there some concern there? Should there be? Does he have a point with what he's saying about Brady and the Bucs?
Well, when you look at stats and you see the sacks, if you look at film, you realize that Jameis held the ball longer than any quarterback in the league. And that goes to what you were referring to that we discussed last week. Sure, there's a concern. If you're going to run a lot of deep shots, deep drops, and you can't protect very well and the quarterback holds onto the ball, you're going to have sacks. The ball's going to come out really quickly with Brady. Mm-hmm. Is it going to have an effect? Yes, because Brady's going to get rid of the ball. So what effect is it going to have? Well, they're not going to have as many deep shots as Bruce would like if you can't protect. So if you're going on a 5 and 7 step drops and your line can't protect, Brady can't move, you're going to have an issue. What I have said, and I'm very curious to see, I know Bruce is penchant for the deep shots, but I think the ability to be able to work the deep pass game, but to be able to work the check down, as I said last week, as the ball's going to come out quicker, that slows down pass rush when you get the ball out as quickly as you can. So that's the biggest difference I see. I absolutely recognize. I think probably one of the first things out of my mouth last week when we visited was that Brady's not the same guy physically. My goodness, he's going to be 45 it's incredible. Mm-hmm. But from the neck up, he's just extraordinary. And I think the quick release game is going to be something that we're going to see develop more and utilize more. Not that they won't put deep shots in, but a lot of that's going to have to come off play action. A lot of that's going to come off of what we call non-traditional downs, in essence, where you don't have a lot. You've got, when you got 4-man rushes and, it's easy pickup stuff. So to the point is what Randy says out of line? No, if you just say they couldn't protect Jameis. Well, they couldn't protect Jameis. Jameis didn't help a hole in the ball, and they're going too deep. If you do that, yeah, you got a real problem. I mean, you really do.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to be able to understand that you can do it differently. You have to do it differently. And then you got a different guy that can do different things with it. So I think it's a little bit of apples and oranges personally.
Why do you think so many quarterbacks have problems in their first year? Because we talk about Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, even Jameis Winston, Ben Roethlisberger is in that list of having the most interceptions. Why is it such a problem for quarterbacks to get this offense? And why won't Coach Arians kind of simplify it for his quarterbacks? You've been a coach before. You've kind of seen this offense. Why do quarterbacks struggle so much in their first year?
He likes to take deep shots. Guys take a lot of chances. You do that. I mean, risk reward. You're going to make mistakes. I think Bruce is. And I said, I'm not saying that Bruce is okay with turnovers, but I think he's not as risk averse as others. I mean, there's no risk it, no biscuit thing. He's always had that. That's the reason. I mean, they're aggressive. They're young. We got them there for a reason. Let's go get them. Let's just keep the blinders on. Let's keep it going. And so when you do that, you're going to have that. And a lot of times those young guys go with teams that are not very good. And, Peyton, not very good around them.
Mm-hmm.
They thought he was mentally tough enough to deal with all the mistakes. Boom, there you go. You put them in there. I mean, even guys like Aikman just got beat up the first year and all, but you come out of it, it's either going to break you or make you tougher. I mean, really, really make you thick-skinned. Bruce is just very aggressive in his approach. And when you're aggressive, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to turn it over. That's the one consistent thing that probably, if you look at others, depending on their situations, you can look at the overall stat and it's true, but you have to break them down individually and say, well, this is what they did. This is what they didn't do and how it worked. You can also take it the other way. You can take a guy like a Rick Meyer Rick Meyer was a rookie of the year in this league. But they simplified things so well. And they got the ball out of his hands quickly, and he put up numbers. But when they advanced the offense the next year and he needed to take that next step on the rung, it didn't go so well. And therefore, his career went down. So there's a different ways to approach it. That's just how Bruce does it. And with that's going to come some mistakes. And that's why a lot of the guys that have come in have said, well, we're going to take our chances, but we want big plays enough to the point that we're willing to risk to turn the football over. Not a lot of guys – or is that, that they were a little bit more risk averse. It's as simple as that.
And we're on with Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. Extensive analysis. I'm telling you, if you love football, and he even says it himself, if you love football, you definitely need to check out this website. NFL, college football, he's got you covered. The X's and O's, you got to love it. Of course, former scout of the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, work with the great Bill Belichick, has, he is absolutely put on draft combine. So he definitely knows the ins and outs of what you're looking at on film. Any concern, or do you think Bucs fans should have any concern with the Vita Vea surgery and, of course, the JPP surgery?
No, we addressed it in our notebooks at LandryFootball.com this week. From what I gather, no. Now, I'm waiting for Peter for the first time that somebody tells me, tell me about Peter's surgery. Oh God, we botched it up. I can't believe it. I don't know. I had a headache, and I don't know. The poor son of a gun. Every rehab is ahead of schedule.
Right.
So I joke with that. It doesn't look like it. It's part of the cleanup process, and it's part of something that the only thing I always say, and I know you know this, but for our fans, just to remind them that normally what happens at the end of the year, you have what we call tune-ups. I would call them tune-ups. They go in and you have postseason physicals, and they X-ray and MRI to head to toe, and kind of see if there's any loose bodies or things they need to work on. Well, a lot of it is preferable that they let it heal naturally because there's some, and then sometimes they have to go in and do it. These look like things that are going to be okay. Maybe it didn't heal like they wanted to in the way they preferred to do it, and then they had to go through this procedure. But I don't get the sense that it's anything to worry about. But I always worried about it, and front offices always worried about that stuff. We always say injuries are 100% ratio in this league. No one that's ever gone through this league and not had them. Everybody has them, some more than others.
Yeah, I mean, JPP with the neck injury and then, of course, blowing off his fingers in a firework accident. It doesn't seem like the knee injury would be, one of those things that you would worry about. Are you surprised at his success last year? I mean, there were people, once again, that were talking about him not coming back. And he basically, the first, drive against Tennessee, he really did take the pressure off of Shaq Barrett. So were you surprised by how strong he came back last year?
Yes. It's not that I didn't expect him to play well, give him great effort. When I graded him out this past year, I was impressed. I thought he did a really good job. And I thought, as it always is, that's a lot to do with Shaq's success. I mean, Shaq, you've got to have, football's a game of numbers. Mm-hmm. If you got one good receiver, you really don't have a whole lot. When you've got a second and a third, and defenses have to make some decisions, you got a problem. When you are on the defensive side, you got one good cover guy. Like water seeking its level, they'll find your weakness. You got multiple guys that can cover. On the defensive line, you got to be able to bring it. And if you're going to slide protection one way, somebody can make you pay. And, that's we talked about last week. Now the key is just depth. And, now can those guys be fresh in the fourth quarter and can be their best in the fourth quarter, particularly if they get to a point, say this year, where they get leads. Because, see, that's sometimes, too. Players may grade out well, but, if you're behind and, you don't have as many snaps, but all of a sudden you got a lead, you're rushing the passer more. And remember, that's the toughest thing physically that you can do. So ironically, the better you are offensively, the better you are as a team, the more depth you need as pass rushers, because you need to have like 4 end guys and 4 tackles, nickels guys, because you're coming and coming and coming, because you're rushing the passer a lot more with a 10, 13-point lead than when you're trailing by 3 or 10. It's just a different ball game. So I thought he played very well, and he definitely graded higher than I thought he would going in. So that was a big plus.
Yeah, and this story comes out today. A couple of stories. Daniel Kaplan of The Athletic is saying the NFL is considering a liability waiver for the fans. I mean, do you think the fans would actually sign a liability waiver to go out? And I mean, I know as fans out there, you're so desperate for football, but does this seem like it's legit? Would the NFL really try to get fans to sign a waiver in order to waive their rights about COVID-19?
I think it's a real thing that not only in the NFL but in college, everybody's meeting with their lawyers to figure out how can we protect ourselves. It's trust me, it's going to be the CYA, because here's the thing. I mean, it sounds bad. You're going to sign a waiver. I don't know, and I have no idea. This is a good question for a lawyer. Peter, you can make them sign it. It doesn't mean that somebody won't sue you. We live in a litigious society. But I think maybe lawyers would tell you that it hurts the argument if you do sign something. I thought and wondered, because I don't know where, like with your season tickets, where they are on sending tickets out. I wondered if they would put something, you look on the back of the tickets, like in baseball, you get hit by a baseball, you're not liable, yada, yada. I don't know how much of that holds up. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I thought at the very least that they would be doing that. and I think they're doing that. They're doing that in college too. I mean, they're going to have to. Now, let me just make this point. And again, I don't want to. I don't know how to really put in perspective what we're going through right now, but I guess I can understand it from this standpoint. If you're a fan and you're a team, and you got people that come into the stadium, and I don't know, again, how are we going to do it? We're going to spread them out. We're going to have 25,000. We're going to, we're going to cover up the first 8 seats. Okay. But you can't stop a group of 25, 30 fans in a tailgate getting together. And if they get the coronavirus, I mean, I would, if I was owning the team, I'd probably want to protect myself. I understand what's going on. I think that's the unfortunate part of the society we live in, that you need to legally, you got to lawyer up and say, all right, how do we protect ourselves the best we can? Because we need to go forward. We need to have them, but we got to be careful too. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And, not only that situation, but also now the NFL cutting down to 2 games. You're not surprised by that, but is that an ominous sign? I know you can't look into the future, but a lot of people keep on asking me, is there going to be a football season? I keep on saying, look, just be positive about it. There's no way I can fathom the NFL giving up $3 billion of revenue not to have the NFL this year. Maybe college football, because you have young kids, and of course, on the campus, that's totally different. But these are professional football players. There's a lot of money that the owners could lose. And even if you don't have fans, it always goes back to, Chris, the TV ratings. So whether you have fans or not, there's always going to be fans that are going to watch it. So 2 games, I mean, you don't really need those 4 games, right? As a football coach and as a scout, you've kind of seen this. You don't need 4 preseason games.
Well, a couple of things that come to mind for those that are concerned. Oh my God, did you hear that? What happened today because they canceled it? This has been coming for a while. Okay. A few weeks they've been discussing it. And here's why. This is a byproduct. I mean, of course, it's the pandemic, but it's specifically the lack of OTAs. So the fact that you don't have OTAs, so you couldn't do your basic installs. Yeah, you can do things virtually. You're going to have to use training camp to have your OTAs, your installs, and all of that leading up. What football people have been discussing is what is going to be a better use of our time as coaches. More teaching time that we lost, or a preseason game where you can't script things in a preseason game. The games might not count in the standings, but it's still a game. Mm-hmm. So you can't really work your red zone unless you got a lot of red zone possessions. And, and then remember, here's the other thing that's being cut out. No scrimmages against other teams. Mm. They're going to eliminate that. That was so useful because you weren't banging against each other and all that. You can get a lot more work done. Not going to happen. So what this has done is, in lieu of OTAs, it's more teaching time. To your point about 4 games, look, we can do whatever we can do. In a normal year, which this is not, let's get into that. I think what you're going to see if they cut down preseason games, there's only one reason why they're going to cut down preseason games: for the money. They instead of the league doing the right thing and keeping 4 preseason games for development of young players and giving the fans who are season ticket holders, give them that game. They don't want to do that. They want to include that game in your season ticket package. So they want to take the games away as preseason and make them quote unquote count so that because they don't want to they're always looking to make a nickel and save a nickel. That's just what they do.
Right.
But what I always think is important is, in a normal process, OTAs, development, mini camps, training camp, scrimmages with other teams if you can get it. Preseason will allow you, those games, to put young players on the bottom end of your roster, decide what's the best decisions to make. Sign your guys to developmental squad, bottom end roster guys, and having all of that combined with a couple of preseason games to play a lot of young guys, particularly that 4th preseason game, is very useful. So here's what I would say to counteract the games are not important. In terms of can you get your team ready to play? Yes, you can. They just need more reps in the 2 preseason games.
Mhm.
But if you're a young guy that's an undrafted free agent, how do you make a team? You have to stand out like a sore thumb. You can do so much in practice. If you don't have games to do it, I can go chapter and verse. Terrell Davis, he was going to get cut from the Broncos. It was making a play on special teams in the last preseason game. I can go a bunch of guys. Now, not many of them end up being Hall of Famers.
Mhm.
That's one example. But a lot of it has to do with that. So from a development standpoint and a building of your roster from the bottom up as well as the top down, I think having those games are important. Is it necessary? Heck, you can – if you take away the preseason games, then I think what people are going to do is almost certainly always have inter-squad scrimmages against other teams. Because what you can simulate, game activity as best you can through scrimmages. But so that's my, pro and con. I'd like to see it all.
Mhm.
But I understand that from a fan standpoint, you shouldn't have to pay it. And I've always believed that if you want to do it, maybe cut it, maybe have 3. Have a home game, have a road game, and maybe have a game somewhere at a neutral site that may be fans that can't get to games. So if you're in Tampa, maybe you can go into another part of Florida or I don't know, somewhere else that maybe young people or what have you, they can go at a reduced price or something and go to a game. Maybe they can't afford to go. I just, ideas, if you're Kansas City and Dallas playing Tulsa, because that's kind of Tulsa's a big, but just things like that I think you can do. But I like it. The scout in me likes it because that's how young guys make a team is you get enough reps to do it in games, and now you won't get that if we eliminate it. This year we got to do what we got to do. We got to just find a way to just get and play football, and I'm with you. They're going to do everything they can to do it somehow, some way. It's not going to, folks, it is not going to look the same. It's not going to feel the same. It's certainly not going to sound the same. But I think we kind of all know that we're at least hoping we got something because, we're now at the point now, Peter, where we've not purposely kicked the can down the road, but it ain't March now. We're now at the point now where we just turned, I can't believe the calendar flipped to July today. We're talking in a couple of weeks. We're getting Cam and guys come together, and if we got to push this back, we're getting in real danger. So I think that, and you guys, obviously in Florida and Texas, other places, you're seeing a little bit more outbreaks. So I think it's like anything else. Everybody in the league is preparing, and football people are like, we're just trying to do what we can do and control what we can control. And I know I've done that. I've said, hey, I'm going to focus on the football part of it. And I can't tell everybody for certain that we're going to play this or that. I'm with you. I think there's so much money involved that they're going to figure out any way possible. I was thinking about this, Peter. I don't know if you. This is how my mind warped mine is. So you get ready you're playing a game, and it's college, NFL, anything. We think about, are you going to get guys? First of all, 2 things come to mind. Are you going to put them in a bubble? Like the NFL, you could do that a little bit more. So are you going to do it like, I know the NBA is going to have it all in Florida. I get that, but it's going to be tougher to do. But do you keep all the teams in a hotel, in a bubble? Will they be willing to do it? Because here's the thing. People say, oh, man, they're athletic, they're fine, they're not in danger. What if they got a child that's got diabetes? What if you Matthew Stafford, whose wife just beat cancer?
Yep.
Does he say, okay, I got to go. I'm going to have to, sweetheart, I can't be with you for 6 months. Those are some real tough decisions that we don't think about. How about what happens if on Friday, I don't know when they're going to test these guys, how often. What happens on Friday when you get word that your coordinator tests positive? Who's calling the plays? And so you got to have that backup. And who are your coordinators meeting with all day, every day? If he tests positive, chances are the people that would be your second in command to call a play, he may be the most likely to be infected anyway.
Yep.
So, these are a lot of things. What about the officials? I don't know, people don't care about officials, but God bless them. There's a lot of things that I think about. What do you do? Because I think about it as a coach, devising up a plan that you better be prepared to have a backup plan for who's going to call the plays, how this is going to work. Because we think about players and who may or may not be available. But what about coaches? And can you imagine if it's found out that somebody tests positive, but they decide to sweep it under the rug to get through a big game? You imagine forget the football media. Can you imagine what the news media is going to do to get into that? I don't know. I mean, that's going to be things that in college football and the NFL that I think are going to be interesting to see what type of transparency. They'll hide behind the HIPAA laws, but when it's convenient. But don't think that that's going to be something that's going to be thoroughly scrutinized about who's doing what and who can you trust. I mean, can you convince anybody? And he's my friend. I admit it, and I still do a lot of work with him. Do you think you can convince any non-Patriot fan that Bill Belichick wouldn't try to do anything he could win? There's no way. Yeah, but he probably got them all. They're all probably infected. You're not going to convince people that. Not that it matters, but I think all of these things are going to be things that we never dreamed in a million years we'd be even thinking about the possibility, because we've never been through it. It's not like you can say, "But the last pandemic, that's how we handled it." It was 1918. We didn't even have pro football back then, and we certainly didn't have anything the way we have in society today.
And we're on with Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com, former scout for the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans, and of course the Cleveland Browns. Worked with Bill Belichick, talking about coaches and Bruce Arians and Tom Moore. Leo Haggerty, who we have on here of Night Sports Productions, he has kind of talked about that, the risk of having older men pick up that. So there's definitely a possibility where you don't want that to happen, and you kind of look at it and hope that it doesn't happen because the Bucs have a Bruce Arians, because the Bucs have a Tom Moore. So it's something that we're definitely going to have to watch. But speaking of the Patriots, the Cam Newton situation, a lot of people surprised by that 1 year, 7.5. Go ahead and break that down of why it makes sense for the Patriots. And do you think that's an upgrade over a Jared Stidham and, of course, a Brian Hoyer?
Well, here's the whole situation with New England.
Okay.
They always look at things as what's the upside and the downside.
Okay.
So what's the downside? Let's just take it from a couple of scenarios. Let's take it from the worst case. It's not healthy. They go through the medicals. Just not going to work. You release him in a week. What's not paying him anything, no signing bonus. They're not to pay him until he's on the opening day roster. So make sure our listeners have that in their mind. So doesn't have a good camp, doesn't have a good preseason. Gets injured. Nothing's lost. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take it the other way. He plays well. He's healthy. He's close to what he was. Whatever, anything. It's basically, it's 1-1-1-3 range, and he can earn up to $7.5 million. Okay. You can't find a backup quarterback for 7.5. You can't find one for 8 or 10. So they would love, ideally, to pay him $7.5 million, because that means he's met a lot of incentives. He plays well. They have success. He's not going to be quarterbacking in New England in 2021. They're going to let him sign a free agent deal, and then they're going to get a compensatory pick, probably along the lines of that, that goes into the pool of the picks. You don't get it just for losing them, but it's married up against who you lose, and they always end up with compensatory picks. So that'll be part of the pool that'll help make up for the videotaping thing that they got, hit on for this past week, obviously the same day that they announced the Cam signing. So if he's successful, great. If he doesn't, it's not. Not all the moves the Patriots make work. Randy Moss worked. Chad Ochocinco Johnson didn't. Mm-mm. Corey Dillon did. Others didn't. They have just as many that don't work as ones that do. The difference is they don't go in and put a lot of upfront money where there's any risk. So there's no risk. Oh, people might say, they signed Antonio Brown. What a dumb. So what? Didn't cost them anything. Right. They gave it a shot. they do that. So when the risk is not there, they're willing to do that. And they wouldn't have done it if they didn't think there was upside. But it's the downside that they also spend a lot of time looking into. I know that firsthand from in working with it. So it doesn't mean they don't think Jarrett Stidham can't play. It doesn't mean Jarrett Stidham may beat him up. So what? He doesn't make as much incentives. They got a package for him. He's a backup. So I'm just taking you through all the scenarios of what he could be or couldn't be. I think he can help them. I don't react like a lot of people do that. The Patriots are dead. They were going to finish fourth in the division, and now they're going to win the AFC because Cam Newton's. I temper things with we'll see, and I think potentially he can be really. They'll have a nice package for him in a way that they'll utilize him. And look, they're not looking at him as a long-term situation. So I know Bill would like to compete and win and put a good defense. And here's the other thing. Well, why is Cam Newton there? Well, he's there because he wants to try to resurrect his career. And the deal that he signed with the Patriots is not a deal that he was interested in with the Jags, with the Bears. So when people say, I can't believe nobody offered. Well, people talked with him, but to go to Jacksonville or Chicago or the Chargers, the discussions were kind of up here in terms of money. So while there's no official offer, people were saying, we're going to pass on that. Whereas in New England, he maybe gets a chance to win a job on a team that can compete, and we'll see what he earns. But more than anything, he's going to try to earn another bite at the apple with a contract next year. And if he plays well and he's healthy, he'll probably do just that. I think that Jameis Winston's in a better position in New Orleans, in terms of health. But Cam is in a situation where he's going to have more of an opportunity because Cam can compete and win this job. We know Winston's not going to beat out Drew Brees, but Winston is also healthier. So, and maybe has another chance at it. So I think that it's different. I don't know why I made the comparison, but I did it, I guess, because, we're talking, with the Bucs angle here. I think there's always an angle to look at. If you can put a guy in a good situation and convince him that, all right, look, if the money's not what you want at all these places, come talk to us because we might have something for similar monetary value. We could put you in a better situation to get you to that next step. So that's what good teams are able to do. And nobody does it better than the Patriots because they've kind of built up that goodwill and respect in the league to where players say, if I can't get the big money, they're going to almost always take the money. But if they can't get it, I might go there and take a little bit and then see if I can make the most of it.
Absolutely. And they have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. So it's definitely going to be tough to repeat as AFC East champs. Speaking of controversy in a quarterback, where do you stand on Colin Kaepernick? Much has been made. He hasn't had a job in the NFL. Of course, he decided to walk away. But as we know, in the NFL circles, it's all about PR and the stuff off the field, whether it was right or wrong. What do you see with Kaepernick, and what's the best fit for him? And do you think there's a team out there that will take the chance on him, knowing that he's been out of the league for 3 or 4 years?
Well, we know that the political climate right now is really good for him to get in. I think, there's people, but I think there's a danger of making this a PR stunt too.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I mean? Right now, it's like, okay, you signed him now. Really? You really high on him now, but you weren't for, was it 3 years now? That's kind of, obvious as a PR ploy. I can tell you this, I was not there, but I had a few scouts that were at his workout that he had. Guys, refresh me, was that a year ago? I mean, it was a little bit, the workout, he wasn't in good shape and it wasn't a good workout. Now that's because he's been out for a while. You got to look at that. Look, I think Colin played well. I was not. Look, when he took the knee, like a lot of people, that I wasn't. My first thought was, why don't you go to the team and maybe get everybody on the team to take a knee prior to the national anthem or something? Because I just grew up in the national anthem and all that.
Right.
So that was my thought. I look and see what's happening now, and I I'm less critical. While I may not want to do that and I may not see it, I'm also not him, and I've not been through what he or his people have been through.
Sure.
So I can respect that, or understand it. And I think the league kind of has said as much. But I just don't know what you're getting in Colin right now, and I don't know how motivated he is. If he wants to play again, this game stands still for no one. You're out a couple of years in this league, good luck. People will say things like, well, he's better than a bunch of backups in the league. But understand this. Colin had specific type skill sets. So when you're running an offense in this league, your backup really needs to have, in my mind, similar skill sets as your starter. Or else you're going to have to – it's tough enough to put one offense in and work one offense. How are you going to put in a second offense with running 15% of the snap? So my concern was, how do you figure out where Colin would be a fit? Like, if you ask me where he'd be a fit, if he's healthy and raring to go, Baltimore. That's where he'd be a fit. The guy that coached him in San Francisco, Greg Roman, is there in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And I could see him running a lot of what Lamar does. And I think Colin, healthy, committed, is probably an upgrade over RG3. But if he's not, and he's not in the type of shape, then all bets are off. And so I think a lot of that's going to depend. But I'm for it. In fact, I said this. Look, we just said earlier, the distractions versus the production. I think Colin is a good quarterback. I said this. If it would have been a better quarterback, if Aaron Rodgers, or I realize it's a different situation because Aaron Rodgers probably wouldn't have taken it, but if Aaron Rodgers would have done it, mm-hmm. and Aaron Rodgers was released by a team, he'd have been picked up overnight because he's a great player. And just like we said, if you're going to pick up a lot of guys with problems, I think he would have found a job. I think the fact that he was good, but not universally great in a lot of people's eyes, made a difference. And that combination was a factor. But we would be naive to think there wasn't politics. I can tell you that the Ravens, because Ozzie told me this, Ozzie Newsome himself, that they wanted to sign him. And Steve Bisciotti, the owner, gave him the permission to sign him. Not recently, but at that time.
Right.
And Steve Bisciotti got some real pushback from his suite holders and stuff. And so he put the kibosh on the deal. So I'm not saying that this was a football. No. It was politics there. He would have definitely found a job somewhere. But it wasn't like he's a fit everywhere and he's a backup. Well, you got to have a different, you can have a package for him and all that. I think the guy could have played. I don't know if he can play now. I don't know what type of shape, but there was politics involved, but there also was the fact that he wasn't the ideal fit. And so while people want to go with it's all one or the other, like most things, they're usually in that gray area where it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, and I think it came down to the tweet, too. It wasn't from him. But girlfriend. And look, the NFL is a PR business. I get it. It's all about money at that juncture. But I've always said, look, if the guy can play and you have a backup opportunity for him to compete for a starting job, let him go ahead and do it. Now, we've got some big news, and I want you to announce this out there to the webheads. I wanted to get some fans on, but and we almost went an hour here. We're only supposed to go about 30 to 45 minutes. But, Chris, it's always great to talk football with you, and it certainly seems like we're going to continue to be talking football here. What's the big announcement, Chris Landry?
Well, we started at LandryFootball.com a podcasting network where we're adding good people, and we've focused a lot on college football. We've got like an SEC show, and we're going to have an ACC show, and so on and so forth. We'll have for the fantasy fans. We're trying to find put things together for fantasy fans. And but we're excited. We are talking with your guys in management. We would like to because we have entered the Twitch world. I got to admit, Peter, 2 weeks ago, I really didn't know what Twitch was. Other than quick twitch on a player, I didn't know what it was. I've learned. I've purchased a Twitch channel on behalf of LandryFootball.com. We're going to have a lot of good programming, and we are working to get this very show with my man Peter live on that Twitch channel, so you can just as you're watching it the way you're watching it, you can also be able to watch it on Twitch. And we are trying to make it to where we will upload it for those that maybe are working or putting the kids to bed or doing honeydews or whatever that can't watch you live, that maybe get a chance to listen to your show in a podcast form when you do it. So we're trying to work to do that. And then I'm going to bend your ear a little bit and try to see if we can't even expand something that you might be able to do. But we'll save that for all of our conversations. We'll see if we can't figure it out. But in essence, we're really excited about bringing this to a bigger audience. The Bucs audience, the passion of the fans, the Floridians, so big. I think there's also a lot of fans that are around the country, and we want to bring that and take you in part of the Landry football family and kind of merge a little bit. So the technical stuff is way above my head. So we're going to try to figure that out and try to make that work pretty soon, because we literally did a show last night. Last night was our first show, and it's let's see, it's twitch.tv/Chris Landry football. You can go to that page, folks, and find out what it's about. But we only got a couple of shows in there. We're gonna have the lineup, and so we have a way that, eventually you'll be able to see it and maybe see it on replay and whatnot. So we're working through that. So we're excited. I've come here and I've been recruiting you. So I've gone back to my recruiting coordinator days.
Hey, you don't have to recruit me. I would love to join LandryFootball.com. I know Bucs Report as a platform would love to join you guys, because you guys are going in the right direction. We're all going in the right direction to provide great football content. And like I said, join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, being on YouTube and Twitter, but just another channel, and being a part of LandryFootball.com is an absolutely great opportunity. Can't wait to join you guys. And the future is bright here on the sports web. Go ahead and promote yourself once again, Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com, right?
It is LandryFootball.com. That's basically the hub. So there's a lot of things we do, and I could give everybody a headache, go through all the things, but all the podcasts are housed there. So that's the other thing too. Folks will be able to, they miss it, can't find it, go to Landry Football, then they can find how to download it, get to their phone and all that. But LandryFootball.com, we have a lot of podcasts on there, free stuff, but we also have behind the paywall, very nominal fee. In fact, we got a scouting season offer right now for less than $5 a month. What do you get there? Well, you get the behind the scenes film room analysis. So I'm working right now. We're getting our college football previews up, for example. Well, they're previews, but they're like 5,000 word evaluations. So they're evaluations of the entire programs, the teams. It evaluates the players. How were the players on every roster in college graded coming out of high school into college? Who are the prospects that are the highest graded at this point in the class of 21 and 22 from each school? So we give you a look there. Coaching staff, incoming recruiting class, we've got all that. And then, of course, we got our notebooks every day with a lot of information on recruiting and the college world, the transfer, all of that. And, of course, the NFL side. We're going to have detailed breakdowns of each NFL team as well, and the roster breakdowns there, as well as our notebooks every day. And, of course, during the season, it's film room previews of all the games. It's film room rewinds and evaluations after it. So the best way to describe it, it's like having access to your own scouting department for less than $5 a month. So it's like, you're an owner and you want to know, you go to the Glazers go to, call up Jason Light, what's going on, what happened to the game, why did this go, we try to provide that for the fan. That's our job. The subscribers are the owners, and we try to provide that. So that's what we do in a long-winded way, but it's all the hub at LandryFootball.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Landry Football, Landry Football Facebook, and again, twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football is going to be the hub for the TV channel. So we love it. And I tell you what, I got to tell you, I was so blown away. I was telling your buddy Keith today that I was blown away with the professionalism of you, but your show, and I just don't know that I think they probably do, but maybe they don't realize what you have gone to and what commitment you've made to make this show great, but to do the personal commitment of how it looks and how it's packaged. that is really key in today's world. You can have a great show. If nobody knows it, it's like a tree falling in the woods, right? I mean, does it really make a sound? I think that you really package it well. And I just think I commend you guys, because I think providing this avenue in a world where fans want to have an option. If they want to just listen to something on the way home that just kind of is noise, they're thinking, that's fine. But if you want to get good information, guests and inside of what's going on with your favorite team, in this case, the Bucs, I mean, you guys have established the gold standard for it. So we're just, tickled pink to be joining with you.
Absolutely. And I'm completely looking forward to the future of this. And I got to tell you, I'm honored to have you on my show anytime you want to here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. Thanks a lot for your time on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Peter. Talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. There you go. Chris Landry of Landry Football, former scout of the Houston Oilers, the Tennessee Titans. He worked with Bill Belichick. You guys wanted the inside, the X's and O's. You get it here on the Sports Web. Wanted to take some questions, but I'll tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Peter, it's Todd from St. Pete, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Todd. How are you doing, bud?
Doing really good, man. That was a great segment.
Thank you.
Really, really great segment.
Thank you.
And at some point I was like, oh, this is really going long, but I was never not entertained.
I mean, he really is must-hear radio, Todd. And I remember he was on with the late, great Steve Dumick, the big dog, and they would just sit down and you just let Chris talk and you let him teach you something. And there's so many people that they think they know everything. I don't think I know everything. I know there's people out there that don't think they know everything about football. So I just kind of sit back, ask the questions that I want to hear, and I feel like the fans want asked, and then let him teach you. And that's what he exactly does on LandryFootball.com. And once again, we're glad to have him on the Sports Web.
No, it's great, man. And he's a wealth of knowledge. When you guys were talking about the waivers and whatnot, I saw Johnny Dean had made some comments. And
sure.
My thing is this: NASCAR is one of the highest grossing revenue sources in our country for sports. They're able to pull this off without any fans in the stands. They're still racing. They're doing their thing. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I know they're doing it. So why is the NFL not just saying, we're going to play the games. We're going to test our players. We're going to test our coaches. We're going to do all the things we need to do to make everybody safe. And we're just going to play the games in an empty stadium so everybody can tune into TV. The broadcasting revenue's got to be substantial. So I guess why is that not even just what they're defaulting to? I'm just going to, that's the whole reason I was waiting to call in, my friend.
Yeah. No, Todd, thanks a lot for the call. And I'll answer your question right now. I just think it comes down to money. Look, when you're an NFL owner and you're looking to lose $3 billion, of your money, then I think you're definitely consider, having some fans. And thanks a lot, Todd, for the call. Open phone lines. We'll have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, the birthday boy himself, best of the Bay. I think that's what it comes down to. And the whole fan experience is what makes the NFL go. And you've even heard players on this show basically talk about and say, it's not going to be the same game. So I think the NFL is still trying to hold out hope for at least some fans to attend games. Let's go out to Matt Colson. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind, my friend?
I just wanted to let you know that was a really great guest.
Thank you.
Lots of stuff covered in that.
Thank you.
Easy to listen to and easy to understand.
Yep. That's what he does. He definitely teaches you a lot, but he breaks it down to where he's not going over your head. And I think that's what fans appreciate. And look, you don't find a Chris Landry every day. There's only one Chris Landry made, and the guy has the experience. He's been around the NFL. Hell, he's worked with Bill Belichick. You don't want to talk to that guy? I don't care about how I feel about Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach, most likely, in the NFL. And if I had to sit down and pick his brain, I'm picking his brain all day long. And that's, you get the opportunity to pick somebody's brain that actually was in the war room with him and worked with him. So what are we talking about here? Go ahead, Matt.
Well, I wanted to cover a couple of things that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You went over several subjects.
Sure.
One of them was the obvious one was the COVID waiver.
Sure.
And your previous caller kind of took away my thunder. I don't understand why they don't just play empty stadiums, because the NFL, over all of the leagues that I'm aware of, the way they're structured,
Mm-hmm.
the NFL makes more money off TV than anybody else.
Yeah.
The baseball has to play because unless you're the Yankees, where you own a local market television contract, or WGN or whatever for Chicago,
Sure.
Tampa doesn't have that kind of thing. So they have to have people in the stands to buy tickets to go watch the games, and too bad, you're in a closed, confined space. So you're going to have to meet the middle somewhere. The other night when I called, you said, well, you just have to deal with it and move on to the next year, when we were talking about a shortened football offseason.
Sure.
And it's kind of like that, in my opinion, with these professional sports. If you've got a control factor where the best that you can control is that the players are tested every day, and we know what the status is, and we know what the coach's status is. We got to keep that in a bubble, protected. We can't have 20,000 limited spacing, 20,000 people in a 70,000 seat arena.
Right.
Because it's going to bring in something.
Matt, would you be willing? Let me ask you this, and I'm going to ask the fans this. This is the question for the night. Would you be willing to sign a waiver to watch an NFL football game? Okay.
No, because here's the thing. I follow politics more than I follow football. So,
oh, geez. Well,
the guys in Washington are jerking around. But one of the things that they're talking about doing is they want to pass litigation so that you don't get sued as a company owner because you force your employees to come to work because you have to have the business open. Like my ex-wife works for a company that is part of this mandatory thing. So she hasn't lost a day of work. She has to go. And so they were concerned that there was going to be people that were going to get COVID from being in an environment like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to be able to turn around and file litigation because they were forced to be there against their will, technically, in an unsafe, uncontrollable environment. And that's a real concern. So what they're trying to do in Washington is figure out a way to give everybody blanket coverage to protect themselves from that. And the NFL would be in that same envelope. But voluntarily, I would not go to a stadium right now. And people say, well, you don't have to go out if you don't want to. You're damn right. I'm not going to. And at my age and with my health conditions, things like that, I'm in a higher risk group than my kids who are 14, 15-year-old boys. They can go do stuff that I'm not even going to consider doing.
Right.
And that's where the rub is. Where we're having the problem right now is people want to have their freedom of mobility. You see that where you're living.
Sure.
And they want to be able to go out without a mask because who's going to tell me to wear a mask?
Right.
And legally, they can't. So then you're going to do what you want.
Right.
But like I've said last time, you're not worried about you. You're worried about the guy next to you. And that's where all of this stuff is kind of messed up because Americans don't think that way. But the Europeans have more of a family-oriented, community-oriented, small town-centric kind of mentality where they do know all their neighbors still, and they do know, that if the guy that's the local dairyman gets sick, somebody's going to do without milk for the next month.
Right.
And that kind of thing. We don't give a damn in America because there's always somebody that's going to fill a position.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that's messing us up. And this is coming from a guy who I grew up right down the street from you. I know what Florida's like. I love it, but I wouldn't want to live there right now.
No, because everybody, right, everybody has the attitude they want to get back to normalcy, and I get that, but you can't do that when you have large spikes in Florida. When you have one of the largest spikes in a day, it's crazy right now, and people are saying, well, there's no deaths going. Okay, but you're still passing it along. So if you continue to pass it along, then you may interrupt an NFL, right? Or you may interrupt an NFL season or interrupt a college football season because you're not taking the precautions and you're being selfish with it. So for me, it's really easy. Just wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance. And if you have to stay home and you don't have to go out, stay home. Why even take the chance? Matt, got to run. Anything else, buddy?
Well, I had a bunch of stuff, but I'll just make another call.
Yeah, make another call later. Of course, you got that second call. Matt Colson, thanks a lot for calling the Evolution, all right?
Have a good night, Pete.
All right, buddy. I want to get out to the web heads. We got Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Look, there's no time limit. You've seen me do this before. I've gone 3, 4, 5 hours. I'm not going 5 hours tonight. but we may go 3.5 hours. Whatever happens, if the response is there, we have guests on, we'll do it. It's the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. All right, let's go out to the webheads here. What's up, y'all? Best Virtual Edits video. Yo, Christopher Cole. Hey, guys, what's up? My favorite time of the week. Appreciate you. Anthony Doherty, told you I'd sign in. Give me a shout out. Thanks a lot for coming on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Arians won't put up with Brown, says Johnny Dean. Yes, he would. Matt says, has the Bucs report gotten a Steel Power Tool sponsorship? The ad is running behind Peter. Very funny. That would be the TV there. Hey, Johnny, says Tracy. Let's see what's up YouTube. Hey, Tracy, says Best Virtual Edits video. Hey, Johnny. Sup, Strider. All right, where's Dylan at? I don't know where Dylan's at. Where's Tampa Prep? He's not here tonight, so we'll carry on. Let's go out to some of the questions. AB in Tampa, I don't think so. BA already said months ago it's not a fit. We need more D-line depth, not wide receiver. Good stuff, Jay Arroyo. 30. Evans, Godwin, consummate pros, zero diva in them. We don't need that crap. Absolutely. We're watching Chris Landry of Landry Football. We've got Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, the birthday boy himself, Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavor. Sit tight, guys. We'll get to you. Best Virtual Edits video. Yeah, where is he? The Sports Arena is in the house. Very cool. Eric Wilson does a hell of a job. Definitely tune in to him. 1070 on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. By the way, he does like 30 minutes. I can't do 30 minutes, so he's got to up that time. We'll up those numbers, try to get him on Bucs Report because he does a hell of a job. His buddy there, Alex Fleming. I think Antonio has some CTE issues and should consider retiring for his own health. Sup, my YouTubers. He does not. Joshua, what's happening? Everybody's saying what's going on. So we'll go ahead and skip to that. Go Bucs Go, says Daryl. Dylan says, hey, guys, there we go. Dylan Casey in the house. I would sign in a heartbeat, but my seats are in the first 8 rows, so I don't know. Again, question of the night. If you want to get on the phone lines, we'll dissect this. According to Daniel Kaplan of The Athletic, the NFL is exploring the possibility of fans signing a waiver. Would you sign a waiver to watch a Bucs game or any NFL game? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Here's a clue. If you have to sign a waiver in anything, then you shouldn't probably avoid it. Laugh out loud. Johnny Dean says the same thing there. Matt Colson, the federal government is contemplating some type of liability protection for all businesses to block litigation from COVID infections experienced from going to a restaurant or a store. Pretty good. I think there are a ton of people that would sign a waiver to go see the Bucs. Citro did a poll, and I think it's like 70% responded yes. Correct, JD. Dylan says Russell Wilson AB worked out today. Funny, that's not plastered all over Twitter. I understand the hype for Brady, but why should we be criticized when these guys are doing the same as is all in all circles? Gabe, I will not take your call right now. Let me read these comments, and then we'll get back to you in a moment. Orange for life, good stuff. I've had the virus. I certainly wouldn't go to a game, take the chance of reinfecting myself or change giving. Michael, we'll get back to you in a moment. Let me read these comments, guys. I love the phone calls. I definitely want to hear from you. Want to get the guest on, and I want the interaction, but hold off on the phone calls right now, okay? I certainly wouldn't go to a game, take the chance of reinfecting myself or chance of giving it to others. Sadly, everyone isn't me and would go anyway. I feel the risk is too much. You had the virus, Johnny. He did. Matthew Mello. Heard news about the Bucs signing AB. Any truth to it? No truth to it at all. I got the virus at the onset of back in March. Still not fully recovered completely. Wash your hands, Christopher Cole. They should expand all the rosters. Ben Cornett. I'm a bit curious about what the NFL has over the NBA and Major League Baseball as they make a good chunk of their money from TV network deals, while the NBA and Major League Baseball makes the majority of their money from ticket sales, and yet the NFL is thinking about having fans sign waivers so they can try and still get their money from that. Very interesting. 6 months till Christmas. The way this year has been, Christmas could be crazy. Hell, Thanksgiving and Halloween could be crazy. It's been a Halloween all year, hasn't it? Billionaires tend to want to protect themselves financially, but I don't think they should have any fans in the stadiums until this COVID is really under control. Dylan says there's certainly much more to think about. Let's see. So true, Dylan. Our society has been blanketed in a false sense of superiority. Technology has made people believe something like an illness couldn't hurt. It's taking time for them to adjust to this new awareness. Russ, Antonio Brown can take it. 95 yards for a score. Speed kills, but also attitude kills the locker room. And you heard from Coach Arians at the beginning of it. Doesn't want it. Chris Landry is the man. Joshua Allen, Antonio Brown practicing with Russell Wilson today. No doubt Winston will eventually take over for the Saints. No. Yep, says best virtual edits video. Joshua, Johnny Dean, that's a bad take for you to have to sign a waiver to go to a trampoline park or escape the room. I'm sure it is in your contract with Disney or Universal skydiving. Laugh all you want. Winston is a good quarterback. To even make a team, you've got to be good. Joshua Cole Allen, going to a ball game should never be a hazardous, should not be as hazardous as skydiving. Come on, man. Joshua Cole Allen, Matt Colson, true, but to say you shouldn't do anything that requires a waiver is a far stretch. Russ, Winston threw 30 interceptions, but he also threw for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. It's a shame he left. Great young quarterback with many years of potential left. Love Brady. Glad to see him, but hated to see Winston leave the way he did. I would love to see Colin behind RG3 and Baltimore. Jameis was good. He went from a possible $30 million extension to a 1.7 base backup quarterback, actually 1.1. Barely anyone even showed an interest in the leader of a 30-30 club. He's just not smart on the field. He doesn't see what's in front of him. Russ Lawson, quarterback is a difficult position, maybe hardest position. Give Winston some grace. They gave him 5 years. Matt says, Bucs report is really growing up. Congrats. Thank you very much. If signing a waiver isn't a red flag, then I don't know what is. Anything involving a waiver means that they won't accept responsibility for your participation. Skydiving, most things that require it are inherently hazardous. Watching a football game, not so much. Great stuff. Chris Landry absolutely killed it tonight, as always. And if you guys didn't watch that whole interview and didn't learn something, I'm sorry, then you guys were tone deaf. I don't know. Sounds good, Chris. We'll definitely check it out. Absolutely, yes. Dylan, I need to hear the stories behind those photos on the wall behind Chris. We're definitely honored to work with Chris Landry, the legend himself of LandryFootball.com. A lot of big things coming here for the future of Bucs Report. And, of course, the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. BR moving up national recognition now. Absolutely RIP Big Dog. Coming up, we definitely have the greatness of Ray Kennedy. I'm just going to read these comments and then we'll get to it. Guys, stay patient. The NFL and NASCAR are different because the NFL has revenue sharing. NASCAR primarily makes it money from television revenue, not the ticket gate. The ticket gate primarily goes to the track. In the NFL, it's a completely different scenario. Laugh out loud. I would sign it in a second. The AB to the Bucs thing is a hoax. We'll see. Tampa Prep. Actually, a certain player on the Bucs had talked to management and head coach, and that's why it says monitoring. Learn. AB to the Bucs could happen. Good call, Matt Colson. David, I would sign it. There's no difference between going to a game or walking around Walmart and having people pass you or at the gas station. Let's see here. Tampa Prep says, should have known this year was going to not make sense as soon as Tom Brady went to the Bucs. It's been an absolutely crazy year here. Read the rest of this comments, and then we'll get Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Best of the Bay. What's up? Just got here. Very cool. As I said, soon as the virus hit, laugh out loud. Khalip, if it's a season, I would just watch it on TV. Dylan, yep, the once-in-a-lifetime pandemic happens when the Bucs sign Tom Brady. Unreal. Tampa Prep with 712. I don't know what that's. Oh, my God, how many Johnny Deans are there? Johnny Dean with the, I don't know what that is, emoji with the glasses. And then, of course, Johnny is everywhere at Tampa Prep. So there you go. Open phone lines. Let's go ahead and get him on. The birthday boy himself. Welcome to the evolution of sports talk television, and happy birthday, Tampa Bay Kennedy, co-host of the Sports Web, and of course, best of the Bay right there. How you doing tonight, my friend?
Well, good, Peter. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. I'm doing good. And we just had Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com on. And I know that you definitely want to talk some Bucs football. Let me ask you, because this has come out from Daniel Kaplan of The Athletic. The NFL is considering making fans sign a waiver. Would you sign that waiver? Why or why not?
Well, I mean, the question is what we've talked about or speculated. What wouldn't you want to do to get into a game this season? But I think Chris Landry hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head with the fact that when you buy a ticket, inherently on the back of each ticket, whether it be a Broadway show or a sporting event, you're basically saying that you hold them not liable for any actions that may happen. And then I'm thinking, how are you going to get, like, if I'm buying tickets if let's say people are allowed to buy party of 3 or 4, largest group. Is it the person that's buying the ticket? Because you're not going to have 65,000 people standing outside Ray J on Sunday in line signing waivers, right? So logistically, that would be impossible. So I'm imagining that, like Chris said, with the colleges, that they're just doing it for lawyering up, making sure they got all their liabilities covered. But I honestly, Peter, I'm not trying to be too much of a negative. I would just love to get a season in. And if it does mean that the fans are not in the stands, I would make that trade in a minute.
Yeah, and I think it's what it comes down to. You'll basically at this point weighing the risk, and I think that's what the NFL owners are doing right now, and the commissioner is doing. And again, Chris brought up a great point, which is what Leo brought up a couple weeks ago with the coaches and their age, especially with the Bucs and Bruce Arians being up there in age. Of course, Tom Moore. So it would definitely affect it. And what do you do if one of those coaches gets sick? What do you do if your offensive coordinator or your defensive coordinator gets sick? What do you do if one of your top players gets sick? Then do you roll with the backups? Does the NFL cancel, not cancel, but you'll put off the season, kind of delay it? I mean, at that juncture, you really don't know what you do because basically at this point, you've never dealt with anything like this before.
Right. And then when the news first hit that Thursday night, when we heard that there was one coach that tested positive but was asymptomatic and 2 other coaches were put into quarantine, what's the first thing we were saying to each other? Or I said it kind of in jest. I wasn't trying to make light of COVID-19, but I said, well, there's 3 coaches that are going to be in the hierarchy should that happen during the season because they've already had it and science continues to prove out. I think they've had a case that I've heard of, a single case of someone getting it a second time. I could see if they're very still susceptible, maybe somehow getting sick still related to it. I don't think they've proven yet that you can actually get it, although they said early on it could be through year to year. But that's the very question is when we saw those 3 coaches, 2 quarantined and 1 tested positive, we're thinking, well, they got it out of the way. And with the players practicing at Berkeley Prep, we're not hoping for them to get it. We want people to be safe. But, tongue in cheek, we're thinking, well, if they were to get it, our six starters on offense have gotten it out of the way. So now we'll have to figure out a way to platoon the rest of the offense. So these are questions that still remain to be answered.
And we're on with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Happy birthday, buddy. I'm not singing to you at all. The best of the Bay here, my co-host here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Somebody asked me, how old are you? How old do you feel, my friend? Are you 70 today? How old are you?
I feel good, but I'm not going to say the number outright. If anyone wants to know my exact age, I'm going to make them do a little math. I was 7 years old when I went to my first Buccaneers game, and I did get to go to my first Buccaneers game in 1976, their first season. That's as far as I'll go. If you want to do the math and figure out that I'm 51 years old, you can do that. I'm not going to give you an answer.
There you go, buddy. The 50 is the new 30, I guess, as long as the 40 is the new 20. Of course, we would definitely be knowing how old we are and how we feel at this point. How do you feel, speaking of, Antonio Brown, Mr. Big Chest, who I'm not a big fan of, but, the rumors were kind of put out a couple of months ago by Bruce Arians on the Tiki and Tyranny show on CBS Sports Radio, and now they have crept back up into the landscape from Michael Lombardi and of JT the Brick. Antonio Brown to the Bucs. How do you feel about that, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy?
I don't feel like you want to bring anything negative to the team at this point, but if there's a team that I think could possibly handle that, or a player in the league as AKA a Tom Brady. But if we said that Antonio Brown, once he applies for reinstatement or tries to get back, they're going to give him that 8-game suspension. But let's say we do something with him right now, and he doesn't go to any team right now. But week 7, we're looking at a playoff push. Maybe the Saints have gotten lucky and they're giving us some, or maybe those Falcons are right behind us. And now AB becomes open, and maybe we're one of the teams that looks to make a way to make him come here. But that money's going to be we have to be magic with that money. But Jason Licht's made some great decisions. So, I just don't think it happens before the season. I would not want to see that happen.
And of course, if you missed the big announcement, he's watching right now, Mr. Chris Landry, former scout for the Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers, and of course working with the Cleveland Browns and Bill Belichick. Bucs Report and the Sports Web, of course, the Sports Web will be a part of Bucs Report, would be joining up, and we're definitely looking forward to joining that Twitch channel. I didn't know anything about Twitch, but I'm excited about the future. Did you get a chance to hear Mr. Landry? Because he's just unbelievable when he gets on the mic. He really is.
Yeah. Watched the entire show, and I loved all of his points. And of course, we don't from listening to Chris, we know that he's speaking from a true point of experience, and that's why when he makes that point about the fact that Cam Newton going to New England, brilliant move. I mean, because like he said, if he ends up being a second string, doesn't hit all these incentives, they pay him below the $7.5 million. Or let's say another team, and other 31 teams in the NFL, a starting quarterback goes down, and then Bill Belichick's phone is ringing, or he has a decent season, stays here, and then they get the compensatory pick in 2021. So Bill Belichick makes these decisions. That's why he's the best coach in NFL.
Yeah, and of course, nobody is talking about the penalty. We really didn't get into that, but, fined 1.1, a third-round pick, and Landry brought it up. Look, they may let Cam Newton go in free agency, and they may receive that comp third-round pick back. So, I mean, it's definitely the Patriots' way with the comp picks. But how do you feel about Newton joining the Patriots? Is that an upgrade over Stidham and Hoyer? And do you think now they're in that conversation as winning a playoff game? Or as what I've told Joshua Cole Allen, I don't think they're going to win 6 games this year.
Well, let me pose a question to you. And I know that it's 6 games, and that's the chicken wing bet. But let's say that both Cam Newton and Jameis Winston, neither of them get any real starting time this year. Let's say that Stidham and Breeze are both do well and go throughout the season. My wondering is, at the end of this season, if with Jameis Winston and Cam Newton both being free agents, if they don't get ample playing time, as a GM, and Jameis has shown some improvement under Sean Payton in New Orleans. But you know what Cam Newton can bring to the table. I'd like to see which quarterback gets the bigger contract going into 2021. Cam definitely won 2020, right? So we'll see. But, I mean, him going there again and them signing him the day that the news came out that Sunday night that they were getting fined for the filming of the Buffalo Bill game, and wrap it totally around Bill Belichick. What if he gets that third-round compensatory pick? He made the news the same day, covered the fine, and ends up getting the pick back. And that's classic Bill Belichick.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk anything about what we've been talking about tonight, would you sign a waiver? What about Randy Moss's comments? What about AB signing? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I tell you what, let's go ahead and get this guy on here with us. I don't know if we've ever done a show together, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy and Mr. Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend. How you doing?
First and foremost, happy birthday, Ray. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Alex. Thank you. Thank you so much.
This kind of reminds me of Fergs. I mean, for real.
We've done this before. It's been a long time, though, right?
You should have me in the middle so we could be like a reverse Oreo.
Oh, geez. You had to go there with that, Alex Fleming. But of course, the big story this week, and we talked about it here with Antonio Brown, but the rumor was that he was going to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, it doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to you?
I had a perspective yesterday working with Eric Wilson. He is a badass, by the way. But I had to reaffirm and let people know, A, we addressed this in March. B, we have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tyler Johnson. We're good. C, he's going to be suspended for at least 8 games. So D, get it through your head, Bucs fans. He's not coming here.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's Bucs fans here, Alex. It's Mike Lombardi and, of course, JT the Brick. But a lot of people would say that it's Tom Brady pushing it. And Chris Landry said he thinks it's Antonio Brown's people. Is that how you feel? And now you hear the rumor, or it's not a rumor anymore, that Russell Wilson was actually working out with Brown. So, connecting.
That's not a rumor. That's not a rumor. That's actually the second time in 2 weeks. All right, guys, let's look at Antonio Brown's portfolio since he's been out for a year. He's worked out in the dark with Dwayne Haskins. He's worked out with El Freaky and his cousin Hollywood. And he's worked out with Russell not once, but twice. Now, I remember saying last week on your show, look for Seattle or Baltimore to pull the trigger on Mr. Big Chest.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play this year. It won't be until probably midway through the season, but he's going to play this year.
Can you imagine? Okay, guys, could you imagine Lamar Jackson doing play action, dropping back, and then being able to hit Antonio Brown for an 85, 90-yard touchdown? God, that's all Baltimore would need is another weapon like that.
Well, I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, it comes down to this, guys. You know, free agency is always about getting your team back. And you look at Gerald McCoy. Why did Gerald McCoy sign with the Carolina Panthers? So he could play the Bucs twice a year. I think they're in the back of his mind, Jameis Winston signed with the Saints, not only to learn under Drew Brees and also Sean Payton, but to also prove something to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he would get that opportunity to play them twice a year. So I'm kind of thinking that Baltimore is in the driver's seat. But Tampa Bay, Ray, look, if Russell Wilson could add Antonio Brown and you already have DK Metcalf, that NFC West really gets tight.
If I may, I believe I gave you, Ray, before the end of last year, the article that I wrote on the Baltimore Ravens. You're not paying attention how Baltimore Ravens was going to solidify and revolutionize the offense in 2019. And guess what? They did. They have a 3-man tight end set last year. This year they have 2 because Mark Andrews is your starter and Nick Boyle is your blocking tight end. They have the best running game in the league. I won't even pay attention to anybody else's running game in the league because between Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Gus the Bus Edwards, and El Freaky, no one is touching that running game. Now you're going to tell me you're going to add Snead, Duvernay out of Texas, who's a possession wide receiver, Hollywood, and AB to that offense? Yeah. That's borderline unstoppable.
Yeah. But you know what, though, Alex? As much as AB brings to the table, and Chris Landry covered this in his first hour with Peter, is that there's no doubt that AB's got some issues, right? And he's got some temper issues, and we've seen him have some issues. We saw him have the issues in Oakland, and then we saw what happened in New England and some history. So the question is, even as much of a weapon as a speedster as you can have AB, and Lord knows the guy. I still go back and watch his videos. He's literally OBJ. I mean, as far as watching him play and being able to and be able to appreciate that talent, but it's still bringing him into that any locker room. You're gonna have to make sure. And I'm not saying Harbaugh's not a strong coach. I'm not saying Brady's not a strong quarterback. Maybe Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, maybe that Seattle Seahawks is the team because it seems like Seattle runs in their own atmosphere up there. And so, I mean, but still, you're taking a big chance bringing him into that camp.
Go ahead, Alex.
I don't disagree, but here's why I think Baltimore would be a better fit than Seattle. Seattle would be a great fit. You got leadership in Carroll and you got leadership in Russell. Here's why I think Baltimore's a better fit. Pittsburgh Steelers, twice a year. Harbaugh, plus their owner. We're not playing games with you. We're taking a chance on you. This is your redemption song. You get out of line once, we will cut your ass. Straight up. Your cousin is here. You know, you got to set a good example. You are technically the number 2. You are not the number 1. And we were winning without you. We don't need you. You need us more than we need you. Do you want to go to the Super Bowl? You could be the missing piece on why we can beat Kansas City. That's why I believe Baltimore is the better fit.
All right, let's go out to we'll open up the phone line. The phone line is open, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Happy birthday. And, of course, Mr. Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. Promote your show Saturday, Turf Talk, right?
Yes, sir. Sports and politics, as we all are starting to realize, are meshing together. Turf Talk. Sports, politics. If you got an issue or a topic, hit me up. I'm going to be ready this Saturday as well.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the Randy Moss concerns for Tom Brady and the Bucs. And, you know, basically he says they were unable to protect Jameis Winston for so long. And if you compare quarterbacks, Jameis and Tom are not mobile quarterbacks. Tell you what, let's get back to that in a moment. We'll go out to the phone lines. Gabe from Oklahoma, welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind?
Hey, how are you all tonight?
Great, buddy. How you doing? What's on your mind?
First off, I want to answer that question that you asked for everyone.
Okay.
To me, if I had to sign the waiver, I would sign it. I mean, hold on, I'm trying to think of what he said. Like he said, on the back of baseball tickets, they say they're not going to be liable if you end up getting hit by a ball.
Okay.
Or on the odd chance, someone flinging a baseball bat into the stands.
Gabe, now getting hit by a ball is one thing, but getting COVID-19 and being sick for 14 days and possibly ruining your lungs and your system altogether and never being right again, is it worth the risk?
I mean, I'm not going to say a bunch because I'm still 18 and a quote-unquote naive, as some people will put it, but I'll still do it. Like, I signed a waiver when I went to Trump's Tulsa rally, so I'm okay right now. So,
Okay.
And so was everyone else who came out of that building.
Okay. All right.
So,
did you wear a mask?
Well, I had to. So.
Okay, so you wore a mask and you social distance, right?
Well, if you saw the crowd there wasn't any social distance going on.
But you wore a mask, so you're not as naive as some people out there. So that's a good thing. Now we got some future expectations, if you will. 18-year-old decided to wear a mask. What are you doing? Good stuff. All right. So what else?
Hold on. I'm trying to think here. I'm sorry.
Gabe with his pregnant pauses. Come on, Gabe.
I usually have a journal with what I want to talk about. Tonight, I don't.
Well, you don't have to write a journal. Just come up with a couple of topics. What do you think about AB to the Bucs?
To me, I think it's absolutely stupid. I mean, yes, he has that deep threat with the speed, but with his locker room issues and the fact that he probably has CTE, I don't really want him on my team.
Okay.
Seattle can have him all they want.
Okay.
I don't care about them. They'll probably choke to the 49ers.
Okay.
So, I mean, unless Bruce Arians decides to be like, okay, we really need something to get through to the playoffs, then maybe. If it's for a short span like Emmanuel Sanders did last year, maybe.
Okay.
But for a full season, for multiple years, absolutely not.
And somebody's saying, Peter, let him have a journal if he wants to have one. He can definitely have a journal. Just have to use that second call. All right, Gabe, anything else, buddy?
Oh, Alex?
He's got a question for Alex. Go ahead, Alex. Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
You scare me. To be honest, you really scare me.
He scares you, huh? Why does he scare you?
Why is that?
I don't know why. It's just that you seem scary to me.
No, he's not scary. He brings that passion. What do we say here, Gabe? Bring your passion. Bring your excitement.
Just don't bring any nonsense.
There you go. That's the kind of guy. So Alex should never scare you. The only thing he should scare you with is the knowledge that he provides. What he should scare you with is this guy has come on this show and he absolutely does a phenomenal job with making predictions. In fact, he said Daniel Jones would throw for over 300 yards last year as the Giants quarterback against the Bucs. People laughed at him. He was right. He's been right about a lot of stuff. Gabe, I got to run. We got Johnny Dean on the line. Use that second call. Johnny Dean, welcome to the evolution of sports talk television. What's on your mind?
Man, Johnny.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, let me get my journal. I forgot.
Oh, you got your journal. Okay, we're all doing. I gave everybody the opportunity to have a journal and say what they want to say. You guys want to take 10-minute phone calls, jerks? Go ahead.
I ain't writing anything down.
Wait, I want to know how was my dramatic pause? Was that good? I know it's not Gabe standards, but was it okay?
It was pretty good. It was spot on there, buddy. Good stuff. Johnny Dean, the professor from Pennsylvania.
All right, I want to make a point on Alex's take there with the Ravens.
Sure.
Carroll is too much like John Gruden, in my opinion. It's been known that they've had infighting in that club too, quite a bit of it. So I honestly agree with Alex on this one that John Harbaugh won't put up with that crap. He's more of a hardcore coach, and he's there for the championship range.
Yeah, and what you hear tonight from Chris Landry is that Baltimore was ready to sign him, but Steve Bisciotti got some pushback, and then of course the tweet.
Well, that was Colin Kaepernick, though.
Right, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
That's another one. I'd love to see Colin Kaepernick in third spot behind RG3.
I think it would work.
Give Colin enough time to get back in football shape.
Sure.
And the only time he has to go in is if RG3 goes down and Lamar.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think it could be a fit. So we'll see what happens, but there certainly seems like there could be some teams that are very interested, and they should be. You just have to see and weigh out the pros and cons. And look, he hasn't played in the league for a couple years. So is he going to be a little rusty? Is he in football shape? We'll see. And does it help with having COVID-19? Of course it doesn't.
I also think there's a connection there somewhere with the Under Armour. I know Steve Bisciotti is a part owner of Under Armour, and Under Armour is a big Baltimore thing. So, so there might be a connection there too. Yeah, I can see if I was pushing a rumor out there anywhere, like Mike was doing, and that other guy, I would be pushing that rumor toward Baltimore more than Tampa.
Yeah,
all day long.
So you wouldn't sign a waiver? Is that what you're saying? Because I've kind of seen you vocal on that.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I would not put anybody else's life through what I just went through with this crap, dude. People don't. It's not the flu, dude. I still haven't recovered. I've had 2 negative tests since I had it, and I still haven't recovered. My lungs are screwed up. My body still hurts. It's ridiculous, man. There is no way anybody that has had this disease like I got hit with it would ever put anybody else at risk for it. Nobody would.
Yeah, no, it seems very scary. Some of the reports you've heard, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, there's not a lot of deaths in Florida. There's a lot of cases, and there's a lot of opportunity to have that. And it's a scary situation right now. You don't have a vaccine for it. You don't have a cure for it. So you don't know how to approach it. And of course, a lot of people, once again, want to get back to the normalcy of the daily life. Everybody wants to go out to the club. They want to drink a little bit. Ray likes to drink. It's okay. There's a lot of people out there like to drink in a bar, but you also have to keep it in perspective. At the end of the day, you have to let this get under control. And then once that curve starts to flatten out, then you can start to resume normal activities. But it's just it's not going to be normal for a little while, and people are going to have to come to grips with that. And that is the essential problem, that nobody is coming to grips with it. They're not doing the things that are necessary to flatten the curve. Anything else, Johnny T?
Well, the whole technology era has lulled humans, period, into a false sense of security. And in the 1920s, everybody would be staying social distancing,
Yeah.
They would understand that. There was no, we can cure this within a week, or we can cure that within a week.
Sure.
It's not like that. People assume it is like that because of technology, but it's not. It's not like that at all. They're rushing to get a vaccine out in a year's time when normally it would take 5 years to come up with a good vaccine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you can't rush it. You definitely can't rush it.
Those numbers, that death count just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And people are still being ridiculous about the masks and saying, well, I don't care. I'm not scared. Who cares if you're scared? Quit infecting other people.
Yep. And I think it comes down to the NFL taking the proper precautions, not only canceling the Hall of Fame game, but now lowering the preseason down to 2 games. And also, looking into fans signing a waiver. Good stuff, Johnny Dean. Definitely use that second call. Thanks a lot for calling the Evolution. All right.
All right. Later, bud.
Later. There you go. All right. Good stuff. If you have a question for Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, or you just want to wish him a happy birthday, or you have a question for Mr. Alex Fleming, who's not scary at all, 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the phone lines. Matt Colston using his second call from Oklahoma City. Welcome back to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind, my friend?
I found 50 cents, so I decided to call you back.
You're not writing a journal tonight like Gabe and Johnny?
I use 3x5 cards. They're easier to keep.
Well, that's what the professionals do here, my friend. That's called flashcards. Also, we had those in math, and I failed math, so there you go. Go for it.
You got to turn the 8 upside down to understand it. All right, Ray, happy birthday.
Thank you, man.
On Monday.
Wow, happy birthday to you, buddy.
7th coming up.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Calling in that night.
Oh, good.
Anyway, I just wanted the 2 things that caught my attention in the early Landry thing that I wanted to cover. AB coming to Tampa Bay is a bunch of BS.
Okay.
The coach said way back after Valentine's Day or whenever that was, he was so emphatic about it, it was just perfect. Very glib. Nope, no room. And that is exactly the truth. We supposedly, last week before this happened, we were rated as one of the best receiving corps in the whole freaking league. The best young receiving corps in the whole damn league. Between Mike Evans and Godwin, and then you got they were naming off 3 tight ends like they were supposed to be the best. Personally, I don't know what makes a good tight end except for they're supposed to catch the damn ball and block. I don't know who's the best on any of that stuff. But
Right.
the wide receivers I do know can catch. I'll grant you that Mike Evans does not yak. He can't catch a yard after he collects the ball. It's like he gets it in his hand and his knees collapse, just down on the ground, bam, whatever. He doesn't fumble either. So we'll take that. We don't need AB because he's like Terrell Owens times 2. I mean, the guy, everywhere he's been in the last couple of 3 years, he's just imploded. And Chris Landry said, you know, you got your no headache, your headache, and your Excedrin migraine people, and that's who he is.
Right.
So here's something for the NFL that I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
How many times does an AB or an OBJ or a Terrell Owens or a Chris Ochocinco,
Right.
how many of those head cases do they need to keep bringing back over and over and
Well,
over? and
let's go
over
ahead.
again?
Let's go ahead and answer these questions real quick, and we'll get the guys in on here. For me, OBJ is very talented. He does have some problems, but not like the problems that Brown has. He can't stay healthy. But of course, you know, a lot of wide receivers in the present and in the past have that diva mentality. That's what makes them special. It's an unbelievable thing to have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin not have those type of personalities. So the reason why an Antonio Brown, an OBJ, an Owen, a Chad Ochocinco keep on getting multiple chances, talent supersedes. So at the end of the day, the NFL, a general manager is looking at it, a coach is looking at it and saying, does the talent equal the headache? Okay. And a lot of people out there feel like Antonio Brown can offer something. The Seattle Seahawks, if you put him on that other side, that could make them a Super Bowl contender. Can you keep him under control? Do you have the organization control by the coaching and by that locker room to keep him under control? If you don't, if you get into a Raiders situation where it basically destroys your locker room, then it can be a mess. God love him. Mike Tomlin was able to keep that locker room in control, as you heard about Brown having so many problems the last couple of years, and Tomlin being able to keep that locker room together, not only with Brown, but Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger. So he did a good job. But at the end of the day, that's the reason. Well, but that's the reason why Brown also and Le'Veon Bell, but with those mentalities, with those personalities, the coach is able to handle that. That's what an NFL team has to basically weigh out. Does the talent, supersede everything else? And if it does, then you weigh the pros and the cons. And if there's more pros, then you sign them. Can you sign an Antonio Brown to a small contract or minimum contract? Absolutely. Why? Because there's not other teams out there. Can he be productive? Can he be a normal citizen on the field and off the field? If all those boxes are checked, then that's when you sign him. If they're not, and the NFL suspends him, then that's a totally different story.
They're going to suspend him if he comes back. I mean, that's been the knock on.
You would assume, but here's the thing: the NFL Players Association, the NFL, have come to some type of agreement where Roger Goodell is not the judge, jury, and executioner. So
but
right, he was, but now he's not.
But AB did his duty, his bullshit. He did before the new CBA.
Yeah, right? But I think the CBA, and Alex, go ahead. Let me Alex explain this, because I think it comes down to, Alex, with the NFL and the NFL Players Association agreeing to this, there's more of a favorable chance that Brown is not going to get suspended as much as he would if Goodell was reigning over the process.
If you'll allow me to retort, you remember a couple of months ago when the NFL players got robbed with that whole CBA agreement? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Roger Goodell doesn't have the same power that he did before. Exactly. And keep in fact that AB had to go through mental counseling. He was arrested and he was on house arrest. How do you think he's getting all of these campuses to work out with Dwayne Haskins and with, I don't know, Russell Wilson and I don't know, Lamar Jackson? He has value in this league. Expect 4, and I mean maximal, 4 game suspensions after the NFLPA says, hey, you know what? He's a changed man. He needs a second chance. And by the way, revenue. That's what runs the NFL. See, you can defund education, you can defund police, you can't defund the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Why? Because of revenue. And as far as I'm concerned, AB is electric. All right. You can say whatever the hell you want to say about him off the field. On the field, he's scandal proof. So expect maybe a 4-game suspension, and whoever is lucky enough to pick him up, as long as you keep him in check, beautiful things coming.
Yeah, I feel like though with him making music, you need to definitely get him on the football field because some of his songs are criminal. I can't deal with them. They're hard on my ears. I would rather you, Antonio Brown, be a football player than a rapper. Anything else, Matt Colson? Just saying.
Just wanted to throw in there that I think a 2-game preseason should be the rule, not the exception. I think the shortened training camp schedule that they announced, was it today or yesterday, whenever it came out?
Sure.
I think that's smart. Now, I did not know, Chris Landry said, I did not know this, that they weren't going to allow inter-team scrimmaging. I wasn't aware of that.
No, they're not. They canceled that. They canceled, but I believe it was between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've canceled all that because there's a risk. There's absolutely a risk at this point.
No,
so
I understand that.
Right.
I mean, it's logical. But if they...
Jacksonville's nasty anyway. We shouldn't be touching them.
Yeah, they're just a bad team. Go ahead, Matt.
If they... next year, when everything's normal,
yes,
supposedly,
yes,
if they went to a 2-game preseason and went back to inter-team scrimmages, they actually get more practice and better result from the scrimmage week or 2 weeks or whatever they do than they actually do from a game. Because in a game, you don't want your starters to get hurt. So hell, they don't show up after the first quarter, and sometimes one series and they're out.
Yeah,
if they come in at all. So from a fan standpoint, I'm getting ripped off. And so I think they should stop it. I remember when they did 8, I think it was, back when we were kids. And it was forever.
Yeah, I think it was like was it 6 or 8? I thought it was 6 preseason games, which is ridiculous.
12 games in a year and 8 preseason or something.
That's terrible.
Like that.
That's terrible.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the way they have it now is still too long for what we have for training facilities and the way that the teams are able to do training camps and such. They don't really need preseason games. That's strictly a revenue source for the league, so that a guy like me that doesn't have the money for a regular season game can go to a preseason game and get in and sit down at a decent seat.
Right.
That's really all it's all about.
You know what, Matt, though? I would say, like Chris was saying earlier, that it's important for some of those players to get that live fire play, right? But it's mostly important for those younger players because, like Matt just so astutely said, the starters literally get a drive, maybe a drive and a half. We ban for about it'll be a quarter. Those younger players won't get that live fire time. I think back in the day it was 14 regular season, 6 preseason. But yeah, it's a travesty because I remember back in 2007 I had Thursday night Jacksonville Jaguar preseason ticket. No, it was Houston Texans. Couldn't give them away. Tried for 2 weeks before the game to give my season tickets away. And at that point in time, I became totally convinced that making us pay full price for preseason was a joke. Drop all the preseason games. The product might suffer a little bit, but don't make us pay full price to go see this practice when we go over to a $1 place, the Advent Health Facility, and see the same thing for free.
Yeah, great. Matt, we got to run. Anything else, buddy?
Oh, no, I'm done for the night. I hope you guys have a good night. Happy birthday, Ray. And Alex, I'll try to tune in and catch your show because you said politics and sports. That might actually get my hook.
All right. There you go. Good stuff, Matt. Thanks a lot for calling the evolution of Sports Talk Television. All right. All right. I saw Michael Scott also call back, or Rick from Atlanta. So we got Michael Scott on. Michael Scott, welcome to the evolution. You're on with Tampa Bay Ray along with Alex Fleming. We're going to get Joshua Cole Allen on. Just running a little bit late tonight, but that's okay. Michael, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Now I finally get to get on and talk about what I wanted to talk about.
Okay. First and foremost, Michael, now if you have the opportunity to sign a waiver as a fan to go see the Bucs or another team, are you doing it? Yes or no?
Well, in my case, no.
Okay.
Just because of, the circumstances, with what's going on with this pandemic. And plus for me, I mean, I don't think I would be in a place to risk any of that. And plus, especially with me being visually impaired, I don't think, if everything's safe and everything else, hell yeah, I'd love to be at Raymond James Stadium.
Sure.
But as of right now, no.
Okay. All right. What else, buddy?
Also about the Antonio Brown, I have two things that I wanted to comment on.
Okay.
The first thing is the Antonio Brown deal. Guys, why do we need Antonio Brown? That's the thing. The question for us, if you really want to, figure out what we need, I think, make sure the offensive line is set for Tom Brady. Make sure, go out and get a, decent running back before you start worrying about having to get another wide receiver, because we got Evans, we got Godwin, we got, the guy,
Tyler Johnson.
Johnson,
you got
yes.
Scotty Miller. You've got Justin Watson. They've definitely invested here, Michael, a lot of draft picks in their wide receivers, and you're exactly right. You could go and get a running back, or you could go and get an outside linebacker to fill that depth out. Absolutely.
So that's the thing, because having Antonio Brown on the team. Now, you know what? I will tell you this, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that if Antonio Brown were to come to the Buccaneers, now you're not going to see a lot of numbers from the tight ends if that's the case. So what are we doing with Rob Gronkowski and OJ Howard and Cameron Braid if you're talking about wanting to bring Antonio Brown in?
Alex, I think let me ask Alex here. It's a good problem to have, because look, you can't double up on everybody. And even though you get an Antonio Brown, or you have a Tyler Johnson or a Scotty Miller, you still have a good problem to have. And you have, coverages, and Chris Landry talked about this last week, where you can split a Rob Gronkowski out and absolutely pose a mismatch nightmare, right?
Oh, goodness. Oh, all right. Now, it's not going to happen. Let me say it a second time. It's not going to happen. But if we did have Antonio Brown, you can move Rob Gronkowski from the tight end position to a fullback and play power. Have him line up in the backfield, and then the play action will be almost unstoppable. Better yet, how about an ace formation with a double tight end set with Braid and Gronk, and then you have Evans and then Brown? Or better yet, let's do wings with 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and you can't pass rush because you don't have enough secondary. Or better yet, single back formation with Rob Gronkowski, 4 wide receivers with Tyler Johnson on the field. I would give defenses fits.
Oh, hell yeah. Hey, here's another thing. If you bring Antonio Brown to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Alex, you basically you better just give them the Super Bowl. Because here's the thing. I don't care what the Saints got on defense with their corners. I don't care. Actually, to be honest with you, there ain't no defense in the league. No defense in the league that, defenses anywhere are going to have a hard time stopping the Bucs anyway. Okay? So you go and put possibly maybe the fastest receiver in the NFL, and you put him on that team with the greatest quarterback and with 2 other great wide receivers with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Defenses pretty much are just, you're just going to wear defenses down, because here's the thing. You can have a running back like Ronald Jones and, Keyshawn Vaughn. We don't need, like a Le'Veon Bell or Zeke Elliott or, anybody like that, because here's the thing. You're Tom Brady, all he's got to do is, 5-step drop, boom, get the ball out. It doesn't matter who he throws it to, because he's always going to have somebody open. More than one man is going to be open on that field. It just, we're going to be scary anyway.
Yeah,
so,
Sir, check it out. 65 plays. We can murder the entire league with 65 plays. Keep the defense honest with 25 running plays. They cheat the line of scrimmage on the 5-2 front. Keyshawn Vaughn's burning them. That's his specialty. Goal line, Rojo, that's his time. You keep the defense honest with 25 rushing plays, and Brady can go vertical. You can hit Miller in the slot for short down plays. Godwin, 10-yard slants. Verticals with Mike Evans, because you know what? He doesn't do yak. Colston's right. You know what he does? 50-50 balls and deep balls. And then you got Antonio Brown. How the hell are you going to cover him? He's going to demand the safety and a corner. You don't double team him. He's burning whoever the hell you got on him. You double team him. Now Godwin's going to feast on you.
Now, Alex, as much as I'd like to agree, because no one likes to, we can think of the play action pass, and Antonio Brown goes deep down the sidelines. But the moment we add Gronk, from the moment we signed Brady, we're already trying to figure out how we're going to pitch that pill and get everybody fed. And we already have Godwin and Evans and Gronk and then a Brate and then Scotty Miller, who's not AB fast, but we do have some speed out there. Honestly, if AB were to come in here, I mean, not only number one does he got to clear the psych exam, which I'm not trying to say he won't, but I'm saying he's got to completely buy on board with the fact that he is just going to be a decoy threat that's going to get that big touchdown. But man, we got to get the other guys fed too, and that's where you start. I've seen offenses over the years that actually got into a situation where they've got too many keys, and guys start having that infighting. So if any of it could be damaging to bring Antonio Brown in here, I'm out. Or Antonio Brown, sorry.
I agree with you. That's the problem. You know how Carmelo Anthony in Denver and in New York was just a ball hog and he was just taking up all the shots? This is the complete opposite. This is another reason why we don't need Antonio Brown. You bring in Antonio Brown, you're hurting Godwin's, Gronk's, Evans, Brates, Rojo's, Vaughn's numbers. Everybody got to eat. There's not enough on that plate.
Now, I tell you one thing, guys. I would like him as a kick returner, maybe. You know,
you're not going to pay Antonio Brown for a kick returner. That's
no,
for sure.
I mean, not just kick returning.
Right.
You know, I mean, he can do more on the field. But what I was just meaning, you know, him just being a great special teams guy. But all things said and done with the Antonio Brown situation, I'm kind of off of it because I know he's not going to be a Buccaneer.
Right.
I just don't see it happening. So, you know, we need to talk about the guys that we have now, not someone that is not going to be on the team.
I agree.
I get people put rumors out there and stuff. If Bruce Arians wanted Antonio Brown, and you know, if he was reinstated now, you know, if Bruce wanted him, he would get him. He would have him. He done said, I don't want the man. He's too diva-ish. You know, he causes too much. Here's the thing,
he's
guys.
not a fit. That's what he said. He's not a fit in that locker room.
And here's the thing. I don't believe if Bruce Arians were the coach, you know, instead of Dirk Cutter and stuff like, I don't think Jameis Winston would have been a Buccaneer. I really don't believe Bruce Arians would have drafted Jameis Winston.
Wow.
I don't know what we would have done at quarterback position, him and Mariota either.
Well, it wasn't Dirk Cutter. It was Lovie Smith, but you know, Dirk Cutter definitely worked with him. So I don't know.
I heard that he wasn't Lovie Smith's guy. I heard that Lovie. I mean, I'm not. It's under the bridge, but I had someone tell me that they'd had some conversations with Lovie Smith. I'm not saying I'm putting Lovie Smith on the record here. I'm not quoting. I'm just saying I don't think that James was Lovie's guy. I think James, you know, I don't know if that was the case or not.
Well, I know for a fact that he was Lovie's guy, and he was asked about Winston and Mariota, and he took Winston all day long. Now, maybe there was some conjecture in the organization, but I definitely think that was Lovie's pick. Good stuff.
Can I say this as nicely as possible?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Mariota is basura.
Okay. All right, Michael. Anything else?
I have one more thing. One more thing, guys.
Yes, quickly.
I wanted to talk about the Randy Moss deal with the Cam Newton and Tom Brady thing. Hey,
well,
here's the thing.
I'll tell you what. Save that because we haven't mentioned that yet. We're going to talk about that, Michael. I want you to wait for that. Call back when we mention that stuff because we got Joshua Cole Allen. We haven't got on yet, but I appreciate the call. Call back when we talk about it, and then we'll get your response. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to. I don't like cutting off people. Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's go out to Rick from Atlanta. Rick, welcome to the Evolution. What's on your mind?
First of all, Alex, you're not scaring me. How serious is the deal? One thing I want to point out about Antonio Brown, I just don't. He went a long time in his career without any trouble at all, and then there was like this very compact period of like 8 months or so where he just, I don't know what happened. There was some kind of a breakdown or whatever, and it seems like he's gotten his act back together. I don't know what was going on with him during that time. I have no earthly idea what the deal was, but everything happened in a very compact period of time. And wherever he goes, I don't think it should be the Bucs, but wherever he goes, man, I mean, they're getting somebody that's just an incredible football player.
You really are.
And
I mean,
people
he's
forget that.
right. That's the sad thing about it. People talk about Owens being a Hall of Famer, and they always talk about the T.O. character, but what they fail to mention is he's one of the top wide receivers in NFL history, and his character off the field overshadows that. That's the problem.
Did you see the one game he played with Brady?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he just straight down the field, seven receptions followed by a touchdown.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
For a guy that hasn't been in an offense, he comes in right away and he's productive. Rick, it kind of makes a joke out of people saying, "Well, what if Brady can't come in and have the chemistry with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin?" Really? He had the chemistry with Antonio Brown, Mr. Big Chest. It didn't seem to affect him then. So why would it affect him with this offense? Anything else?
Right.
Rick?
I mean, it would be fun to have him, but I don't think it's going to happen. It'd be fun to have him. We got so much. This offense is so overly and ridiculously stacked.
Yes.
That I don't know. It's not. It's just funny to think about. It's good for a laugh. What a hoot.
Right.
And happy birthday, Ray. Have a great birthday.
Thank you, Ray.
Imagine the Trump guy was afraid of you. What a shock. And you guys have a great night.
Rick, great job on Monday. That's Rick Hughes, one of our newest writers here on Bucs Report. Definitely don't be a stranger and use that second caller, right, my friend?
Yeah, you got to take it easy.
All right, buddy. Good stuff. All right, let's go out to Joshua Cole Allen. Poor guy. We've been keeping him in the lobby there for 30 minutes. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with the birthday boy, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, and, of course, Alex Fleming. And before we get to you, we got to go out to the phone lines here, Josh. So stand by. Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, my Around the NFL insider. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. What's on your mind? Travis Bailey? Okay. Going once, going twice. He's gone. So we will get him back on again. Joshua Cole Allen, what's going on tonight, buddy? How you doing?
Doing great, man. How you doing, Peter? Great show as always.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And, of course, the big-time story, and we've been talking with the guys here, has not only been the Antonio Brown situation. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get back to that in a moment. Let's go out to the phone lines. Welcome to the evolution.
Hey, how you doing, Pete? So Josh just came on. I didn't want to bump him like I've been bumped for Rob before, so I'll call back in a little bit, continue on with the show. But I do want to talk about Chris Jones, and I also want to talk about the shortage of the preseason. But I'll let Josh get in on there, and I'll call back in a little bit if that's cool.
Oh, absolutely. Sounds good, Travis Bailey. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. All right.
You're welcome, brother.
All right, there you go. So, Joshua, AB to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You don't see this happening, right?
I don't. Bruce Arians already came out in March and said that was going to be a possibility. Would it be a fun thought? Do you think Brady wants to play with him? I do. I just don't see him coming here. Even if he took the minimum, which I don't think he's going to take. You saw what the Patriots had to pay for him last year. I just don't think he's a fit on this team. A lot of people have, in the comments and on the show already have spoke about the weapons that are already available. I just don't think he's a fit. One name I wouldn't be shocked to see maybe come here, just because we don't know about Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller and Justin Watson are still guys who kind of have to prove themselves. Josh Gordon got chemistry with Brady. He could fill in, in that spot if, Evans or Godwin experiences an injury. But AB, I don't see.
Okay, and the other big-time story here, guys, and we've been kind of touching upon this and been asking the fans, according to Kaplan of The Athletic, he is saying that the NFL may explore having the fans sign a waiver. Would you sign a waiver, Joshua Cole Allen, to go to an NFL football game, or do you think this is too much and putting the fans' health into big-time risk?
As a season ticket holder, I will probably not be attending games. I've been putting a lot of thought on it. So the waiver is something that I'm not going to do. I'll probably just end up taking the refund with, if they offer it, with keeping my seats. It's a very tricky situation because obviously you want to have fans in the stands, and the NFL owners stand to lose a lot of money, but I just don't see it happening with fans in the stands, especially because you have different scenarios with different cities allowing more fans in one, and the NFL is mostly about competitive balance. And if you can have a packed stadium in Florida, but only 10,000 people in California. I just don't think that creates a competitive balance that the NFL looks for. And then you talk about teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and Seattle Seahawks, which are known for their 12th man and their crowd noise, and as well as the Saints. And if they can't pack those stadiums, but teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tampa Bay Bucs, and Miami Dolphins can because of Florida's rules, I just don't see it happening across the league. And it's got to be kind of uniform, I believe. And the owner of the Oakland Raiders spoke on that as well. He said, because they talked about putting the tarps in the first 8 rows, and he talked about some of his most loyal fans, the Black Hole. He wants those fans there, and he thinks that if they're not allowed, then maybe they should just do away with all fans in the stands, which is something I see as a certain possibility and most likely the scenario that's going to happen, unfortunately.
All right,
Mr. Blake.
Yes.
I have a disease, and the only cure is more cowbell.
What is that? Is that you in the background there throwing that?
No.
Is that you, Tampa Bay Ray? Who is that? Is that your mic there, Josh?
It sounds like a Karate Kid drum from Karate Kid 2. Sounds like
is it my mic? It's a new mic, so it could be.
Maybe. I don't know. It's somebody.
Let me tell you something. Put me back in the lobby real quick. I'll go grab a different mic, and we'll see if that works.
All right, sounds good. There you go. Do we have that anymore? No, we don't. So it was his mic. All right, there you go. We didn't want the cowbell. That's all right, though. It's a Will Ferrell reference. We can definitely deal with that here on the Sports Web, because if you don't understand Will Ferrell, then most likely you don't understand me. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Happy birthday. And, of course, Mr. Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. Wanted to get to this, going to ask his opinion when he comes back. But the Randy Moss situation, he had some comments for Get Up. Of course, he talked about his difficulty in seeing this offense with Tom Brady and how it may not thrive because of the offensive line. But he also had to say this about Cam Newton signing. He believes Cam Newton could be more of a fun quarterback than Tom Brady. And he says, I think we are really getting ready to see how fun that offense can really be. Not discrediting what Tom has done or accomplished, because he's accomplished some great things. But I think being able to have a guy like Cam Newton that can run the ball, they're able to spread guys out, and then be able to be that valuable threat. And hold on to the calls, guys. I'm reading here. And then be able to be that viable threat in the passing game, that he can just tuck the ball and run. I just think what we see coming out of New England for the past, let's say, 20 years, there's going to be a change in New England. But I think we're going to see them have a lot more fun out there. And Cam Newton is going to give them opportunity for the fans, not just New England Patriot fans, but the football fans around the world, to really see how fun this offense can really be. What I get out of this is Randy Moss likes to have a lot of fun. Bill Belichick really not associated with fun. Guys, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy first, and then Alex Fleming. Tampa Bay Ray, do you think Cam Newton can have fun in this offense with a guy like a Bill Belichick?
I think it's the Cam Newton that was throwing those passes last year or missing those wide open receivers. And of course, we knew he had the injuries, had several surgeries. But Bill Belichick doesn't get to the top of the mountain because he's going to feel pressure to start a quarterback because he was an MVP or because he's a great player. And Cam Newton, I believe, still has some good years left in him. His best years are behind. But we're assuming that Cam goes in there and gets that starting job. If Stidham comes in there and starts looking good right from the get, it's second year in the system, right? Then I wouldn't doubt that Belichick wouldn't stay with the guy who he knows the system, especially if Cam shows that he still has a little lingering effects from the injury or the surgeries he went through. That remains to be seen.
And Alex, you've been all over this on the Newton situation. In fact, you're saying that he's recovering from a Liz Frank injury, which is the knee, right? The knee or the foot?
Foot.
Okay.
He was recovering from a Liz Frank injury and from a shoulder injury that he got from TJ Watt. Guys, let's be honest with each other. Sony Michel was the leading rusher out of that AFC East, and he only had 912 yards. Do you know who had the least amount of production out of all NFL teams at the tight end position? Yeah, that was New England. Now, you got an old Julian Edelman who can't get over Tom Brady, but he left you for another woman. He left for another lover. He's not coming back. All right? N'Keal Henry was a rookie. He really didn't have much witticism, if you will, with Tom Brady. And Mohamed Sanu, who they got from Atlanta, didn't have the same rapport. Entering the Flex Seal, known as Cam Newton. aka Captain America. Superman's dead. He's now Captain America. He's wearing red, white, and blue, and he took over for Tom Brady. Steve Rogers, Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Sam Wilson. You get it? It makes sense. With that being said, he adds a different dimension that Tom Brady does not. Tom Brady is not mobile. And by the way, Cam, shoulder, he's got a lot to prove. Look for him to go deep. Second year coming out of Arizona State, I think N'Keal Harry is going to be fantasy worthy. Fantasy silver, not gold, but silver. Edelman may not eat like he used to, but he's going to be able to utilize Asiasi and that running backfield between Damian Harris, which we hardly ever saw, James White, which was the scat H Joker back, and of course, Sony Michel with Cam Newton. Now you can't crowd the line of scrimmage, bro, because if you try to rush him, it's going to be a quick flat out to Rex Burkhead or one of the running backs. You don't put 5 in the box. Look for Cam Newton to take off because he's about that action, boss. 2011, 2012, 2013, he was hitting linebackers and safeties. He's not afraid.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Bill Belichick will run an RPO with Cam Newton and he'll ride him into his grave. I mean, Bill Belichick will do anything to win. And you're definitely right. He would bring the complete dynamic to that, especially going from a Tom Brady who was not a rushing quarterback. But I still say that we still have to see. I mean, we've seen Cam working out great. He looks great on the row machine and running drills in the gym. And I'm not saying, but the Liz Frank injury, the foot, everything about Cam Newton relies on those feet. It has since Auburn. And now if all it takes is one bad run, one bad twist or pop, and that foot back injured again. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. And does Belichick want to change up the offense to meet Cam Newton and then have to go back to sit him again in the middle of the season? Belichick's about winning. So it's an interesting thing to see how it's going to play.
I've been anticipating this since Sunday. Guys, look, if I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable if he was signed about a month ago, but all the parameters and the soap opera that is the NFL. He's going to need time to digest that playbook, bro. The New England playbook from Bill Belichick is not something to just take in. Now, is Jared Stidham going to be the starter for week 1 or week 2? Probably so. But I think you have to be a really, really dumb horse who can't drink some water if you don't think Cam Newton's not going to be the starter by week 3 at best. Number 2, Mohamed Sanu and Cam Newton been working out in the ATL all summer, bro. They started working out in April. Now, don't get me wrong. Cam Newton was just hanging out in the ATL with Quavo and a whole bunch of cats. All right. He probably even did a movie with Tyler Perry. I'll leave that alone. With that being said, he's been building rapport with Mohamed Sanu. Once he gets that playbook down, September, Liz Frank, thank you to Mad Atlantic Sports, he's going to be healthy. I'm not betting against Cam Newton.
Well, I tell you right now, he definitely looks like he did a movie with I'm
Louise.
All right, let's go on to Joshua Cole Allen here. Cam Newton, I'm sorry, I can't deal with it. All right, well, hold off on the phone calls here, Michael. We'll get to you. Joshua Cole Allen, welcome back here. We don't hear the cowbell. But Cam Newton says that the New England offense is going to be more fun, or Randy Moss says Cam Newton's going to have more fun in this offense. What do you say? Because you've been a Jared Stidham guy, and you've tried to convince me that they're going to have more than 6 wins, and we kind of bet on this with wings. How are you feeling now?
I mean, I still feel great. I felt great with Stidham. I feel great with Cam Newton. And the whole thing, if you kind of look back at the Patriots' last couple of drafts that they've done, they took Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, Danny Etling, and now Jared Stidham, who's not known as much of as big of a runner, but they all have more athletic ability than Tom Brady. They can all get out of the pocket, they can make people miss, and they can take off. So they've kind of been drafting mobile quarterbacks for the last 10 years or so. So now with someone like Cam Newton, whole new dynamic to that offense. As Alex mentioned, they were last in the league with tight ends, but they drafted Dalton Keenan, ziggy zaggy, hoy with Asi over there, and it's just going to be a dynamic. He also mentioned, kind of stole my thunder there about him and Mohamed Sanu has been, practicing, working out together all off season pretty much. So once they have that rapport down, learning the playbook and getting on the field, they're already going to have that chemistry and connection, kind of like we talked about Brady and these guys, knowing each other's moves and kind of shoulder shrugs and whatever, to to add on to their routes. Julian Edelman is fully healthy, so he should be another playmaker. And also, as Alex said, N'Keal Harry, he was injured for most of the year last year. He came on, he showed a couple bright spots, but it's going to be a different offense. Tom Brady demands so much out of those wide receivers, and it's been said over and over again, if he doesn't trust you, he's not going to throw it on you. Doesn't matter your talent, and you've seen that with players like Joey Galloway, Chad Johnson. So it's going to be about developing chemistry, obviously with Cam Newton and these wide receivers, but not to the point. He hasn't had a great cast of wide receivers since Steve Smith. I mean, yeah, you can maybe Kelvin Benjamin had a couple good seasons, Curtis Samuel. You had the other guy, Devin Funchess, never really lived up to potential, but he's never had a good cast of receivers like Mohamed Sanu, who's a solid number 2, and you know, the sky's the limit for N'Keal Harry, and we all know what Julian Edelman is capable of. Adding that running attack, adding his running ability, it's going to be a fun team to watch in New England.
I don't know if it's going to be fun because you have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, and I go with Alex on this. Look, you have Julian Edelman, who's up there in age. You have N'Keal Harry, who is a little bit unproven. I don't know. This may be the year. I'm thinking it's the year for New England, but I tell you right now, I feel like Patriot fans should feel better about Cam Newton than Jarrett Stidham. Just saying, if you want to comment on anything or have a question for these guys right now, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Happy birthday, my friend, Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. And, of course, one of our newest writers here, Mr. Joshua Cole Allen. Let's go out to the webheads, read what these comments, because I've been neglecting them tonight. Ray, you look very good for your age, buddy, says David. There you go. I have a question. Who is the best wide receiver in the NFC South, says Christopher Cole?
Julio.
Julio's the best wide receiver, really?
Yeah.
In the NFC South.
NFC South. Julio over Mike Evans and Chris Godwin?
And Michael Thomas, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Julio's my number 1 wide receiver in the league.
Julio.
AB with DeAndre Hopkins. It's Julio.
Ray,
well, he said NFC South.
So Julio's the right mix of Michael Thomas and Mike Evans, right? Because he's got both the jump ability, the size, and the speed. But I just wanted to put it out there, guys. Just don't forget, working it back to Julian Edelman, don't forget, Tom Brady will always be his number 1.
Oh, there you go. It's always great to have romance here on the Sports Web. You know, women watch the show and they say, well, you guys always talk about football. That's not true. There's romance to it. Speaking of romance, let's go out to Michael Scott from Illinois. What's on your mind, boss? Welcome to the Sports Web.
What's up, guys? Yeah, I wanted to get on here and talk about the Randy Moss thing.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, first of all, this guy, this is coming from a guy that caught 23 touchdown passes from Tom Brady in one season. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not to mind you, he said that this team is going to be more fun than he's ever seen. Okay, you don't call 6. Well, he wasn't there for all 6 of Brady's Super Bowls, but for a New England organization, you don't call the 6 Super Bowls that Tom Brady won, and you know all the playoff games that Tom Brady went through with that team, all the, you know, for me, I just think he was unappreciated from that organization anyway. You know, I just don't. I mean, granted, he to his own fault in a way, because he allowed them to, you know, he rather, you know, hey, let's do it for the team. You don't have to, you know, pay me $35 million a year. I'll take 25, 30 million a year because
Right.
I want to be all about the team and I want to win.
Right. They took it for granted a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
So for me, he talked about how he believes that Cam Newton could do good with the Patriots. Well, I think so. I think Cam can be pretty decent with them because he don't have. And one thing, he doesn't have to go through a gauntlet, crazy division. You know what I mean? He's playing nobodies when it comes to the AFC East. Buffalo's a good team. Don't
Okay.
get me wrong. I do love Buffalo's defense.
Okay.
But still, even the talent that Buffalo even has, to me, if they didn't have a defense, I wouldn't even put Buffalo in a category as being a top team in the AFC. Because to me, nobody in the AFC is going to touch Kansas City or Baltimore. Okay, so no matter with Cam with New England, Cam Newton's not beating Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
Okay.
And he's also not taking down Baltimore because I just don't see it. Well, and then they said that, they have concerns about Brady in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should have the same amount of concerns with Cam Newton in New England, if not more.
Right.
Because Cam Newton is a player that hasn't been healthy over the last couple years. But you guys want to go and question Tom Brady in Tampa when this man has done it for the last 20 years.
Well, I mean, that's what it comes down to, Michael.
know.
I mean, it's Randy Moss, and he's saying, basically what a lot of people here say, Joshua and Alex and Ray, the biggest question mark is the offensive line. But as Chris Landry has pointed out on the show the last couple of weeks, Jameis Winston held the ball a lot. And when you hold the ball a lot, that puts pressure on your offensive line. If you get rid of the ball like Brady does and make decisive decisions, then maybe your offensive line has saved from taking those sacks. So we don't know how it's going to work out, but I feel like the body of work for Tom Brady getting rid of the ball and making decisive decisions is a lot better than, say, Cam Newton. And I still have question marks about Cam Newton. Not only is his injury history, but his shoulder. Is it right? Because you look at that game last year, guys, against the Bucs, he missed a lot of open wide receivers. And you can't do that in the NFL. You got to have good accuracy. But keep in mind, Cam Newton has done very well in Bill Belichick's career. He's played him very well. And I think that was one of the things that Belichick and the Patriots organization thought about with what Newton has been able to do against that team in his past. You definitely kick those tires, and we'll see.
Let me put another thing across to you, Peter. What I mean for you, Alex, and everybody else.
Sure.
For if Cam, because I heard these guys on Get Up and everything else were even talking about New England making it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, really? If Tom Brady couldn't take that team to the Super Bowl, and he's the greatest quarterback in history. If Tom Brady didn't take that team to the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady won 12 games with that team last year with damn near nothing, and to his, he didn't have any weapons. And everybody's like, oh, he had Julian Edelman. Okay, I'll give you that. But even then, this guy and Tom Brady, regardless of what people say about him, this freaking deflate gate or whatever they want to act like that it's all Brady's fault or whatever it is. But to me, the organization accepted it. They allowed everything that went on. They knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. So they're just as guilty as he is, and then for me, like I said, I think Cam could be good for New England. Don't get me wrong. I still think, okay, with Jarrett Stidham, I'd say they're probably maybe a 5-11, 6-10 team because of, Bill Belichick, he is an awesome coach. I mean, I will give him that. I mean, so you got to. But with Cam Newton, I'm going to say they're probably 7-9 team, 8-8, somewhere around there.
Okay. All right.
That's my prediction. And for me, and one more thing, Peter, I wanted to talk about the thing where they were talking about with Bruce Arians, him not, giving in to Brady and, him not letting Brady, just take the reins and run. Well, here's the thing, guys. Bruce didn't bring Brady there to, win 8, 9, 10 games to get in the playoffs. Okay. He brought him there for 1 to 2 years. And we all know Bruce Arians is not going to be coaching for long. I say Bruce probably coaches and maybe at the most 2 more seasons, and then he'll be done. But I will say this, guys, we are going to win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. We are going to. I don't know if it's going to be this year or the year after, but I also will put this out there like this. Brady will get one before Belichick, and I would love it to be us in New England in the Super Bowl this year. That would be the highest rated Super Bowl ever in history. There would be no debate, nothing at all. Nothing would come close to that.
Michael, you don't want that. You don't want that. And I'll tell you why you don't want that.
Right.
There's only been 2 teams that's been a thorn in Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's side. One of them's Baltimore. The other one's been the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton has a winning record against Tom Brady.
Right.
You don't want that.
Well, and I tell you,
here's another thing, guys. Here's why I would want it. Okay, here's why I would want it. Okay, for one, we know how Cam plays. Okay, that's the thing. We've done it against Cam. We've beat Cam.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of and to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but to be honest with you, I think that the Buccaneers basically ruined Cam's career in Carolina in a way because of when we played them last year in that first game of the year, they were just demolishing Cam Newton. Cam Newton couldn't do anything to that defense. No run. Really, nobody could run on us last year.
Right. Well, I think
it's plain and simple.
Michael, I think it goes back to, yes, the pressure was there last year, but it goes back to 2 years ago when Carolina was 6-2 and he had shoulder problems. He was still getting it done, and the Bucs have always struggled versus Cam Newton. So last year, to me, was the fact of Cam was not healthy at all, and we'll see if he's going to be healthy for the New England Patriots. Thanks a lot, Michael, for the call. Appreciate you. All right, boss?
Can I give you one more thing?
Sure, go for it, bud.
And then I will head off of here.
Okay.
With these two rosters as structured, if these two teams make it to the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, guys, but this roster would terrorize New England. I'm sorry, but they will. We have too many weapons on offense. The defense, you could argue that New England's defense is as good as ours, maybe better, but they have nowhere near the weapons Tom Brady has. Cam Newton, if we stop his run, how else are they going to beat us? They can't beat us with nothing else if we can stop Cam Newton.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't think New England's going to be in that chase. I think it's going to be Kansas City or Baltimore, but you never know.
Me
Tennessee.
too. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Michael, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate you. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Joshua Cole Allen, I mean, he's saying New England and Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. For me, I think with Cam or without Cam, most likely they're going to be a 7th seed, right? I mean, that's my opinion. I can't hear you there, so I don't know what happened. I don't. Go ahead.
I said I think it really comes down to a battle between Buffalo and the Patriots for that AFC East. Yes, Buffalo has a solid defense, but the Patriots had the number 1 defense last year. Yeah, they lost a couple pieces, but they added a couple pieces in the draft and free agency. It comes down to the offense. How does that offense perform? Well, we just talked about it, a healthy Julian Edelman, a healthy, faster, stronger Mohamed Sanu that you've seen. You have a N'Keal Harry in his second year. You brought back all the running backs that you had on that offense, and plus you added a dynamic player like Cam Newton who can make plays with his legs as well as his arm, barring that he's healthy. So the possibility of a run to the Super Bowl is not out of the realm. They do have to go up against the Chiefs and the Ravens, and we saw how they played against the Patriots played against the Chiefs a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl against LA Rams. They find a way to win, and yes, that was Tom Brady, but it's also part of Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick's scheming and game planning that they do as well. So it's going to be week to week. They do have the hardest schedule in the NFL, and you just have to kind of wait and see it out. But I definitely think they'll finish higher than the 7th seed.
Alex Fleming, you don't have to raise your hand to talk. Go ahead, my friend.
I need to put this vanilla on ice. Hold on to all that talk, Josh. Bro, 2018 Carolina versus Buffalo. Buffalo had Cam Newton's number. They had him schemed. They sacked him 6 times. And if Zay Jones catches a 4th and 11 at the 5-yard line, they win that game. The final score of that game was 9-3. Exit out Zay Jones, add Vernon Butler, add Mario Addison, add Josh Norman, who played with Cam Newton, and a much better and critiqued Tre'Davious White. Bro, Buffalo is for real.
Well,
I know you're used to watching the Patriots. I know you're used to that Patriot bandwagon. Let me be the first to say that the Buffalo Bills are winning that division. All right? Let's put all of this to bed, all this nonsense that Cam Newton's going to get the 3rd seed or a bye. Put that to bed. Buffalo is the team to beat in the AFC East. They already have a scam for Cam Newton. You got 2 former Carolina Panthers who know Cam Newton, who's with the squad, not counting Josh Norman in the secondary. You don't have a wide receiver on the New England Patriots who can beat any of the top wide receiver corners for the Buffalo Bills. Let's put any of that garbage to rest.
I disagree, and I'll rebuttal that right away with, isn't the head coach from Carolina? So, of course, they had insight on Cam Newton and how he plays. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there. But wide receivers, yes, Tre'Davious White is one of the best young wide receivers in the league. But you can't discredit what a healthy Julian Edelman can do. You can't discredit what a healthy Mohamed Sanu can do as a number 2. We don't know what N'Keal Harry is going to be. Josh Norman hasn't been the player Josh Norman was for years now. Familiarity with that coaching staff, maybe he can raise his game, back to that level. But saying that the Patriots are completely out of it, maybe with Jarrett Stidham as quarterback and a learning development year, but with Cam Newton there, this certainly is going to be a division. The Buffalo Bills are good for at least one loss to the Patriots every year since forever. It's just.
Well, if that's the case, you have to take account that Miami's going to beat New England at least once. And, bro, let's be honest. If we're going to be looking at the roster, you lost help at the defensive tackle, and Kyle Van Noy, that's going to hurt, bro. And last time I remember, Smokey Joe Brown burnt your boy Gilmore, all right? So it's a different day in the AFC East.
Still have one of the best secondaries. Chase Winovich is going to take a huge step forward. Josh Uche is an amazing prospect out of Michigan. They played together. You put them back together. They have a couple other guys there who are young players. Jawan Bentley. You still have the core of that secondary together. Dante Hightower.
Don't forget Kyle Duggar.
Kyle Duggar as well, So I just don't see them taking that steep of a fall off with Stidham.
Who got Diggs?
Yes, but
guys. I gotta tell you,
guys, save that thought here. Wait, we're gonna go over to the phone lines here. We're gonna go out to Travis Faley. You guys save that thought.
JC Jackson.
You shut up. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. What's on your mind?
It's funny how you guys are speculating already that Cam Newton is the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. You guys realize that he's basically Jarrett Stidham's backup at this point, right?
Well, yeah, and I tell you right now, I think people look at the past of Newton, what he's been able to do. I mean, of course, you can't forget 2015, the MVP type of season, or the MVP season he had with leading him. He has potential. Again, a couple of years ago, we had Carolina at 6-2. He was putting up great numbers, and the success that he's had against Belichick in the past excites some people. Jarrett Stidham has never started in this league. He's not taken one snap. So I have lots of doubts there if Stidham is going to be the starter at this point.
Yeah, I know. I'm just busting you guys' shot.
That's what you are.
The starter week 1 or 2. It all depends. I mean, if he adjusts, I think Josh McDaniels is going to have to, adjust his playbook a little bit. Even though, Cam did throw for 60%. I mean, everybody always questions his accuracy. He is more of a deep ball thrower, but, he did throw for 67% before he got hurt. And I think a lot of that had to do with, having that offensive weapon in McCaffrey. So it's going to be interesting to see how Cam's game opens up a little bit, if he can develop that touch pass that you definitely need in New England's offense, and if McDaniel plays to his skills now that he's going to be able to open it up more with maybe some bootlegs and obviously some quarterback sneaks and some RPOs and stuff like that. But, Cam's going to have to adjust his game a little bit too, to his, physical efficiencies or deficiencies. So it should be interesting to see how it all plays out. But, that AFC East could be an interesting division with, Buffalo getting better and the Jets probably getting better if they can retain, the safety. That kind of stuff just drives me bananas.
Right.
Especially during Corona time. And, getting to that. And I want to flip to Chris Jones in a little bit, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah. Chris Jones, of course, being the defensive player for the Chiefs. Much has been made about the Chiefs wanting to sign him long term, but it doesn't seem like it may happen. And who knows? Jones may sit out. He's already mentioned Le'Veon Bell. That's not always a great conversation piece if you're starting off with, signing a long-term deal. And then on top of it, the Chiefs have the upcoming contract to sign with Patrick Mahomes, who, guys, at the end of the day, he may get $40 to $45 million a year. It's amazing. So go ahead.
Well, I think you definitely got to, you got to pay Patrick Mahomes. You have to.
Sure.
But, Chris Jones, he's going to get 16 plus on the tag, but wants 20. And like you mentioned, Pete, he's talking about Le'Veon Bell, who, his performance last year was mediocre at best with under 4 carry with 3 touchdowns. Come on, man. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
As far as aligning himself with Le'Veon Bell as an example. Take the 18 million, walk away. You're not the best player on your team, and the best player on your team should be, taking a step back, especially during, the times that we're living in right now, and talking being greedy. I get it. You got to get yours in pro sports, and you
Sure.
have to, because just look at what's going on with baseball. It's crazy. But hey, let's talk a little bit about AB possibly going to Seattle with working out with Russell Wilson today.
What do you like? Do you like that match? I mean, you get Russell Wilson working out with him. They're developing some chemistry. Alex Fleming has been talking about this. Everybody kind of seeing either Seattle or Baltimore. And now with him working out with Russell Wilson at this juncture, it seems like it could happen. And it seems like it could be a good fit because, look, Pete Carroll has been able to deal with personalities in his locker room. They kind of got away from some of that. But now getting an AB, if he's a model citizen on and off the field, that offense becomes even more explosive than it was last year.
Well, it's funny that you even think that AB is going to be a model citizen, but
Well,
the one reason that come on, where's it? Does he have any background over the last 2
No.
or 3 years of him being a model citizen
No.
ever anywhere on the
Not
planet?
at all. Ray just put it best. He just put a gun to his head and shot himself. I agree with you. I think it's a big time risk, but Pete Carroll is able to handle that type of personality. That's the kind of coach that can put him in line. And it's not to say that Bruce Arians can't handle that type of personality. He can definitely do it. Does he want to? Most likely he doesn't. So
There's only one ball, dude. There's
Right.
only one ball. You
Right.
know, there's only one puck. You understand the whole analogy.
Sure.
You guys don't. The Bucs do not need another offensive weapon on this team. They have enough as it is, and I mean that's just, to me, that's just silly talk. But I think the reason why Pete Carroll might pull the trigger if he has any qualms about signing AB, first of all, he'd be the best wide receiver they've had on that team in years. Can you actually name me another one that's comparable to Antonio Brown? The reason that Pete Carroll might sign this guy, Pete, and I think you know the reason why, is because he regrets not signing Kaepernick.
Yep. Well,
I think he's not going to make that mistake, even though I think Pete Carroll coming out and saying he regretted it could be more of a press type move. But, Pete Carroll's a little like that, I think, in my personal, professional opinion. So
right, no, and he definitely may regret the fact he didn't sign Kaepernick, but at the end of the day, for me, Brown gives you more value than a Kaepernick because you already have Russell Wilson. You saw how or what he could do with some of the weapons he had last year. You add AB to that, we feel like AB still has something left in the tank, and then you have DK Metcalf, who definitely is getting better and better by the day. You feel like he's going to only get better this year. So adding that takes pressure off of not only Russell Wilson, but also your running game, and it makes them even more dangerous in that tough NFC West. You look at that division, boys. You have, of course, the Arizona Cardinals with DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, they definitely have a lot of weapons there. You have the Seattle Seahawks. And I feel like, there's a team that we're forgetting, but, the Rams, I feel like they're rebuilding, but they're only a couple years away from being in the Super Bowl, right? So I mean,
all 4 of those teams are going to compete, but the cream of the crop obviously is San Francisco,
and I forgot
Seattle
them,
on the heels,
right?
With Seattle on the heels, So
right.
If they were to sign AB, that gives them obviously another inside-outside weapon. The guy can run any kind of route, and he's got darn good hands. He's just got a big mouth, and he doesn't know how to control himself.
Right.
But, Pete, what did you think about the shortening the 2 games of preseason? And I think it's great, but I also want to know, how are fans, or how are the people, the season ticket holders, are those people going to get that one game back if they've already paid for their season tickets?
That I don't know. I mean, I would think the NFL would do something, especially in the times that we're going through. I mean, just listening to Chris Landry tonight of LandryFootball.com, who does a tremendous job. And I don't know if you heard Travis, but we're joining up with them, and it's a great thing for Bucs Report and the Sports Web going forward. And we're taking everybody with us here. But to me,
so is that the Chris Landry, the guy that we used to have on the show on a regular basis? That's fantastic.
This is Chris.
I didn't realize that.
This is Chris Landry, who used to be on with the big dog, Steve Dumig, a legend in this business. The late great Steve Dumig, who I definitely try to pick his brain, and picking the brain of Landry. Basically, what he said is people will discount those preseason games, but those are really the evaluation, and they go to with those young with those teams on those young players, and that's where you're able to find those game situations for those players to progress. And now you're taking that out of there. You're taking the OTAs. Bruce Arians talked about this about a month ago. You're taking away 400 reps. See, you right now with all this taking away game time and repetition, you kind of wonder how rookies are going to respond and how first and second year players, namely second year players, are going to progressively get better. I don't know how that happens.
Pete, it's not even the first and second year players. Can the rest of the guys hear me, or is it just you and I? I'm not.
No. Everybody hears you. I mean, Tampa Bay Ray. You didn't wish Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy a happy birthday. You got Joshua Cole on, who's one of our newest writers here, and you got Alex Fleming, the flamethrower himself of fantasy and flavors. Go ahead and talk to these guys too if you have a question.
We have to keep Alex calm down over there. I think in the future, Alex and I are probably going to argue about something. I don't know at this point, but it's going to happen because he's all fired up tonight. And Ray Kennedy knows I love him. Happy 65th birthday to you.
Ray, why don't you grab that guitar there and start playing a play?
Oh, here we go. I'm not going to sing to him now, 65. Come on, Travis. And Travis, he had just wished me a birthday in messaging before he came on the show. So thank you, Travis. Appreciate you, bro.
I feel like sometimes Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy is like, Art Ross or something. Like he's the Bob Ross, the artist there. And then I've seen another side of him. And then, of course, we got Joshua Cole Allen, who is a damn good reporter. He's a grinder. He's absolutely gotten all kinds of interviews with Buccaneer players. He does a great job, and he's like a month in. So, I mean, it's just growing here. So go ahead and talk to these guys if you want to.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic. I've been listening to you guys tonight, and obviously I've been with Pete for a long time. I mean, Pete has been my understudy for a long time. He's learned a lot from me, and I really appreciate him, grasping on and being a sponge to my always growing knowledge and hot takes.
Hot takes, baby. Hot takes from Travis Freely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, around the NFL correspondent here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. So would you sign a waiver, Travis Freely, to go to a football game? And do you think a lot of fans out there would sign that waiver to go to that NFL football game this year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why, Pete, is, obviously numbers are going bananas. Tony Kornheiser today basically said that the United States has punted on the virus at this point. I thought that was a great statement. But,
wow.
People are going to want to get out there and enjoy their entertainment. And they are, as we've seen, they're out there risking their lives for protesting. They're out there risking their lives going out to the beach and, basically going into Publix, et cetera, and going everywhere, risking their lives. I think people are going to risk their lives for entertainment, and they're going to have a good time. They're going to go out.
Travis, I have a statement and a question for you. Right now, America versus the virus is Buffalo versus Houston. Buffalo was down almost 35 points. I wouldn't count us out. We're going to have our damn football season. We look bad, but we'll come back. Number two, would you rather see AB in Seattle or Baltimore?
Well, they got Howard over in Baltimore, and I think Russell Wilson would be able to rein him in a lot more and utilize his skills 100%. Baltimore is going to be Baltimore, and they're going to compete for the championship next year with Jackson and that running game, and a couple other weapons and that they have. Could they use AB? Absolutely, but I think Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson can rein him in a little bit better. Granted, Brady and Belichick couldn't do it, so maybe I'm just delusional. I'm Antonio Brown delusional. Here, I Captain Delusional.
I don't know. I disagree with that, Travis. I think if the whole thing about the sexual harassment and all that stuff didn't come out, I think AB would have still been a Patriot. I think that's where he didn't notify them that this was coming. It came out, and they're like, "Oh, well, we, obviously, our hands are tied now. We don't know if you're going to be, if you're going to be suspended or not, and we can't go forward. with you withholding this information from us. But I think they did a very well job together.
Yeah, and for me, Travis, it comes down to this. Here is a player who's been under suspicion for sexual assault. It's alleged. But then he decides to make the genius move by texting the victim and the whole process. I don't understand it. Like, stay away from the whole situation. What's the priority? Is the priority to be a dumbass, or is the priority to be an NFL football wide receiver in the league, one of the top when he's on? I don't understand his mindset at this point, and I don't think he's ever been right.
Hold on, I got another one for you, Pete.
Yes.
You guys do realize he just pled out on a 3rd-degree felony.
Right.
Right? You guys know that he got slapped on the wrist with that, but it's still a 3rd-degree felony. This was after everything had happened previously.
Sure.
All the charges and innuendos and everything that he did before. So the guy doesn't learn his lesson. Now he just wants a paycheck and play some ball. When's the next mistake going to happen? Only you and I, probably tomorrow.
Well,
hey, Travis, all he wanted was his guitar. I think if he has his guitar, everything will be okay.
Well, I tell you right now, if he wants a guitar, somebody needs to hit him with a guitar, because I've seen, once again, some of the music that he makes on YouTube. But if you want to go YouTube it, go ahead. If you feel like you want to be annoyed, or you want to listen to nonsense, you can go ahead and do that. But
Worse than mumble rap, Peter?
No, not a good mumble rap at all. A terrible mumble rapper. I don't even know what a mumble rapper is.
Hey guys,
We're not starting on the mumble rap again, are we? Oh my God.
Travis, hold on. Let's go back to last season. Let's go back to the Raiders. Okay, I know football players are superstitious, and I have always said that protecting the melon, number one important thing, especially with chronic traumatic encephalopathy and the concussions and injuries over time. Most important thing. But they were trying to put one of the newer, safer, better helmets on Antonio Brown, and from the very get-go, his stance was he did not want to play without his previous helmet. That was the most ludicrous thing I ever heard. And right there, red flags went up. They told me that he was done. He did not play, like you said, Peter, playing football was not his top priority. And that's why, again, we wrap it back to the Bucs. I don't want that cancer in the locker room. And any team that brings him in there, you are taking a chance with that gold, the golden hand. He was the best thing about that Hard Knocks with the Oakland Raiders, was watching him in practice and then watching himself get struck. But that's not a risk that I'm willing to take. And I don't know if any team should be seriously considering that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for.
AB started a new helmet company called Knuckleheads, right?
I thought it was Fatheads. That's what I thought it was. Good stuff, Travis Bailey. Anything else?
Yeah, I got actually another thing for you. So what do you guys think about pumping in the crowd noise like the Australian Football League, which I'm actually pretty enamored with lately?
I hate it.
They're talking about it, and it might happen. They might put little cardboard cutouts, and you can sponsor these little cardboard cutouts with your names on it and the seats, and it'll go for charity. It's all crazy, but an idea that I do like is the one they used for the Last Dance, where, because they're talking about swearing, and you know how the microphones down by the floor, especially in basketball, are going to be picking up. Well, I'll say what they say down here in the South. Cursing, like in Chicago, we call it swearing. Down here, they call it cursing. But it would be interesting if they put the games on 2 separate channels, one with and one without. I'd be all over that. And if they wanted to, they might even ask the fans an extra, pay an extra $5 to watch those, on-court action.
I mean, I definitely think it would be an idea that the NFL would explore. The only problem with that is sponsorship losses because of the cursing. But you're exactly right. If they put something out there, say like an HBO Max or one of those streaming platforms, and it costs you $5 or $10, would you pay for it to hear the cursing?
Are you saying that you could pay to drop an F-bomb? Like if there's a bad Bucs play, you could like, this F-bomb is sponsored by, boom, and then you just pay for it? Is that what we're saying?
Well, what you're
Two things here.
Yes.
One, we need some of those sex dolls like in Korea to be in the crowd so that way it doesn't look empty. Number two, if the stadium is going to be empty like that Tulsa rally not too long ago, because I've seen more fans in the Atlanta Falcons home game, then we're probably going to need the crowd noise.
Joshua Koala, no on the sex dolls in HBO Max. Would you pay an extra $5 or $10 fee to hear uncensored NFL content?
Oh yeah.
It depends. It depends on what it is. Just f bombs and cursing, no. But if it was a package where there was more on field, trash talking, or you could hear, line calls, or something kind of like the XFL where you could hear coaches, and if it was worth the content, yeah, but not just for swears. I mean, that's just.
Travis, to me, they should be providing that anyway. They shouldn't put a price on that. I mean, I don't.
Well, I think that should be that's how the NFL does it. Obviously you have the Sunday ticket, and you have all those type of things.
Sure.
But specifically for the NBA, I think it would be fantastic to run those games on multiple channels because there's a lot of smack talking going on. But Pete, you also saw, I don't know if you saw today, being your NHL guy, your Lightning guy,
sure,
that they're probably going to put both of the hub cities in Canada because Canada's doing a better job with coronavirus, and all these things that are happening throughout our country that's killing us economically. Having one of those hockey teams in a hub, let's say in Chicago, that could have brought in. I mean, look what they're paying. They're paying like basically $150 million. The NBA is to be down in Orlando. You don't think Chicago would love to have some of that money into their economy? But
Travis,
we're screwed.
well, they have it's illegal. They start the border. Canada's not letting Americans into Canada. And then, of course, we let them in here, but Canadians don't want to come here. And I thought, with Edmonton and Montreal being the two cities, I kind of thought that, it is. And you're right, though, Chicago or, LA or another hockey city, Vegas would have been huge because, Vegas is up and coming and it would have gotten real, and especially with the gambling. But both teams being on the frozen ponds, the Great White North, and because Canada's still, I was wondering how teams are going to continue crossing the border, being that the border is still actually closed.
Well, let's not forget the Royal Mounties up there. So I definitely don't want to be pulled over by a horse anytime soon. We're trying to cross the border to go watch hockey.
Yeah.
Did you really say pulled over by a horse?
You know what? That's a hot take right there from Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment.
Hey, let's hope he doesn't have the beefarino either.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Travis, you know why they did pick Chicago and why they picked Orlando? Orlando has Rent-A-Friend. Chicago doesn't.
Oh, geez. Rent-A-Friend. What is Rent-A-Friend? Are you going to be a Rent-A-Friend there, Travis Feely?
No, absolutely not. But anyways, last thing, guys. I promise. Yes. I'm totally monopolizing the phone, and you
it's
guys
all right.
tonight.
It's okay.
You guys did see that the Dallas MLS team, they tested on Saturday. 9 players today are positive, and that's another bubble situation that's going on in Orlando right now. So, to be honest, guys, it would be a miracle to have any sport finish out this year. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that any of those sports is football because, man, we need some football, huh?
Yeah, we definitely need some football, but we give you football content here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television along with Travis Feely of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, our NFL, around the NFL correspondent, and, of course, Tampa Bay Lightning. So I know you're looking forward to seeing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the NHL, so looking forward to seeing hockey and baseball come back, and, of course, basketball. We'll see how these leagues react because whatever these leagues do here, Travis, that's where the NFL will follow, in my opinion.
Well, Pete, I'm a music lover, and I know you're sort of a music lover, mostly
Absolutely.
bad, but
sure.
I will have my interview with Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm up on KNAC pretty soon. So did a Zoom interview with them yesterday. So it was a good day. Yesterday was a good day. So.
Congratulations, my friend, and absolutely deserve it. Where can they check that out? Where can they check that interview out?
That'll be up on KNAC.com. I'll give you guys a call and let you guys know when it's up and running and everything's done. We just did it yesterday, so I got some posts to do on it. And Zoom is a pretty interesting format, guys. I know you guys are using all sorts of things for your streaming, but for what I needed it for yesterday, Zoom worked out damn well for me. So,
excellent.
Hey guys, be safe out there. Thanks for taking my call. Let me ramble and talk about all different sports here, not only on Bucs Report, but on Peter Blake Sports Web. And Ray, once again, happy 70th birthday.
All right, there you go. Favorite 70th. Thanks a lot, Travis Feely, for the show, right?
Got it, guys. Take care, guys.
What are you now, 75? I mean, you're growing by the minute there, buddy.
Before it turns midnight, let's just give a little quick happy birthday to you.
What?
Happy birthday to you.
What?
Happy birthday, dear Ray. Happy birthday to
you. Gracias, senor. Gracias.
Tampa Bay, play me a tune there, guitar man. Go ahead, play me a tune.
I can't play a tune, but I can hum. How'd that joke used to go? You can't carry a. Oh, forget
I don't know what you just said, Yoda. I have no idea. All right, let's go.
Oh, one quick thing too on preseason games. The NFL Players Association is pushing back. They don't want to play any games in the preseason. That's what they're talking about. But I guess the NFL is sticking firm on 2. We'll see what happens down the road. They still have time, but I mean, it looks like there's not just the contractual issues about going to training camp, about how many games or if any games at all.
Hey guys, can I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah.
So the Buccaneers, that Todd Bowles defense, that's they dictate, right? They're not so much reading cues. They're not listening for Drew Brees and his audibles. Drew Brees is going to get his. He's going to call check down. But if we do have a season where there's nobody in the stadium, the Buccaneers defense, they dictate. They don't get dictated to. And could you imagine, though, just getting a chance to watch Tom Brady walk pre-snap up to the line and just call audibles all day long without interference? Now, if they might pipe in some humdrum or some low background noise, maybe something to kind of, add to the ambiance of the NFL game. But for my money, I would love to see Tom Brady just be able to 16 games next year or 16 games, just be able to go up to the line and he'll be reading it like a book. That would be awesome.
Surgical. He would be surgical because there would be no home field advantage. Look, New Orleans plays on turf, bro. They're in a stadium. Tampa, we play outside in that heat. If you're not used to it, you just screwed. And if you don't have any fans trying to offer any distraction, like you said, we're number 1 against the run. You're not pushing us around. And we know what you're doing if you're in New Orleans. You're throwing it to Michael Thomas or you're using Kamara as a joker back. So, yeah, there would be no home field advantage if there's no fans in the stands. New Orleans better hope and pray that there's fans.
I'll tell you what, let's go out to the lobby here. We'll get on the dude. Dude, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What do you have to say? I guess he's gone. He didn't want to come on. So let's go out to the webheads here because, once again, we've been kind of neglecting them. Let's read their comments. We talked about the best wide receiver. Roxanne says, I definitely signed a waiver because I want to see football. If I'm that scared, I stay home, but I'm not going to dictate a whole season because I feel the NFL or anyone is responsible for my choice to attend a football game. Damn. Wow. Good stuff, Roxanne. Appreciate you.
Roxanne's kind of hot.
All she wants to do is party all night long. So
I'll tell you what. On that note, let's go out to the phone lines.
She from Malibu?
Will you shut up? Let's go out to Gabe in Oklahoma. What's on your mind?
Thank effing Christ. I thought Travis would never get off the phone.
Well, Travis definitely brings a lot to the sports web here, Gabe. What do you got to bring?
First off, Josh, I'm sorry, but that happy birthday was very pathetic.
Jeez, Gabe, you say you're you come and kill Joshua Allen. Go ahead.
You gotta put some heart into it.
Okay, well,
like Michael Scott, I always sing the high part.
Let's hear what you have to say. Shut up.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. I forgot, I'm sorry. Happy birthday to you.
That was actually very good, Gabe. That was very good. Thank you very much.
It wasn't bad, Gabe. I put you on the spot, so I'll give you that. All right, what else is on your mind, Gabe?
Well, I just gave y'all another thing to joke about for me, so.
Okay. All right, Gabe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, buddy. All right?
Hold on.
Yes.
I need to ask Alex something.
Okay, go for it. Ask Alex something.
Alex, do you think you can message me your PayPal information in case I actually do lose this bet?
He's talking about the bet still. All right, Gabe. We'll talk about that when it happens. All right?
All right, love you.
Yeah, get out of here. Love you too, bud. All right, let's go on to the dude. Dude, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind?
Holy crap. Did you have Tom Landry on to begin the show?
No, we had Chris Landry on, but wasn't he unbelievable?
Oh. Well, I was wondering, how do you go from that interview to grown men singing happy birthday to another grown man. But anyway, hey, real quick. The dude suggests not signing a waiver to watch a sporting event. We love football, but come on, man. If I have to sign a waiver just to go to your stadium, I think you might want to reconsider things. I do have to say, I'm not going to sing it. Happy birthday, Ray. We haven't heard this in a while, so we'll go ahead and bring it back up. While he is still the reigning Creative Loafing Magazine Best of the Bay columnist, Ray, mother of you-know-who Kennedy, right over there, center screen, number 1 in your hearts, but I don't know. I think he's like number 69 in your program.
For sure.
No, his age is 69. You got that confused.
But I'll say this, Peter. We've got it sounds like you guys got like a nice deal going on with the Landry football. That's gonna be huge. Joshua's got big things coming up. Hey, Alex Fleming on Saturday morning kind of puts things in perspective for everybody. Check that out live here on Bucs Report. Keep an eye out for the legend that is Nick Citro doing an Ask Me Anything live on Bucs Report coming here in the near future as well.
Nice.
That said, hey, 2 less preseason games. What do you guys think? Like, should they just do away with preseason altogether?
No.
Or
you can't do away with preseason altogether. You got to get that work in. And on top of it, I think the downside about it is not having those other 2 preseason games. It's because we don't get to do the Bucs Report Sports Web pre- and post-game editions or halftime editions of those preseason games, which were a lot of fun, right there, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy and Alex Fleming?
Yeah, well, the thing about those preseason games is I would like to see them 1 home, 1 away, right? So like I said again, for the young players, the first year rookies or the undrafted free agents, give them that 1 chance to play 1 away and 1 home so they get a little taste. But space them out over a 4-week period. Bring back let the 2 teams that are playing, let the teams go to the city and scrimmage all week. Because again, like Chris Landry said, and I agree wholeheartedly, I think we all do, that more is accomplished in the week scrimmage, the Wednesday, Thursday scrimmage, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then get a little skirmish on Saturday night. There's no reason to go back to 4, especially when we're going to be going to an 18-game season here within the next year or 2. That's no doubt.
I love the preseason because it allows me to get ready for fantasy football. I can see who's going to make the depth chart. Preston Williams of the Miami Dolphins, when they played their preseason game here, he was a no-name. I knew who he was, but the whole world didn't. And he impressed in that preseason game. If he didn't go down with the injury, he would have been the number 2 wide receiver behind Devontae Parker. Preseason matters.
Did you say he got injured in the preseason, Alex?
No. He was a standout in that Tampa Bay Reigning game when Matt Gay was actually hitting field goals. Preston Williams was
But I don't think we're looking at the big picture here. And what I mean by that is one way or the other, these teams are going to sacrifice the majority of training camp or a portion of preseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is really more important? The training camp, the installation of the playbook and the game plan, right? Or, and be honest, preseason game where it's about 80% effort, no real blitz packages, no real game plans against each other's offenses or defenses. So I'll just throw that out there as a devil advocate. The other thing that people have to realize, we've seen a couple players here or there, trainers from different teams around the league testing positive, and realize that was after a couple days in the building. Doesn't mean they caught it in the building. It means they came in with it. And that's the problem here that I see moving forward is we're talking about fans having to sign a waiver. The NFL and people in general need to realize when these players all report back to the facility and all those coaches are there, you're going to get people who are going to come in positive already with it. Once you take them out and quarantine them for 14 days and treat them, you're going to have to fill that void of missing players, so you bring in somebody else. They might have it. The problem is going to be not can the NFL play a game. It's going to be, can they keep enough starting caliber players from getting sick and being quarantined? Because here's the thing, dude, if Tom Brady catches it, right, who do they quarantine?
Well, you got to. That's a great
Griffin.
point. I mean, you're going to have to either go with Blaine Gabbert or Brian Griffin. I mean, it's,
Well, no. What I'm saying is, if they go to camp and they start training camp and they're there for a week, and Tom Brady comes down with COVID, okay, how many of the other players he's come in contact do you have to quarantine?
Yeah,
that's a great
It
question.
could be that could be 20 players like that for 2 weeks.
Yep,
and,
Hey,
and
guys.
that's the hurdle. That's
Did
going to
we
be
not-
the hurdle.
Wasn't the NFL going to leave, like the NBA? Because I called it on my cup of Ray 2 Sundays ago over at Raymond James Stadium. I called it the Buccaneer bubble, but the NBA bubble, right? The Disney bubble. The players have to test negative twice over a 7-day or 5 or 7 day period just to get into that bubble. Don't we at least imagine the team before July 28th was going to have a quarantine period where the players were going to actually remove themselves a little bit from society, or is it just going to be, wall to the wall, let's get this thing going? Because if that's the case, like the dude says, they're going to be positive cases coming in, and this may be a crap show before we even get to start.
I think they're planning on reporting July 8th to 10th to get in here for that reason, because they're coming from all over the country. So they're going to need to come in early before training camp starts to quarantine in the state of Florida. And then obviously I'm sure they'll be tested as soon as they arrive as well, just in case they are positive. It's kind of a double whammy. You come in, you quarantine yourself because you're supposed to, and then if you are positive, it's taking care of both things at the same time. Back on the preseason though, I love preseason games, especially a season like this where you have so many of these undrafted rookies that the Buccaneers brought in. We've talked to many of them, but there's others that we haven't talked to that could become real contributors on this team. Yep. And I like to watch them, and I like to see how they progress. You're talking about Michael Divinity Jr. Obviously, we know about Reed Sinnett, Javon Hagan, Nick Leverett, and some of these other guys, Zach Shackelford, who's a center, which the Buccaneers don't have much backup there. So you kind of want to see how they perform in those preseason games. And without them, it's giving them less tape and less opportunity, to go there. And then even when we're just talking about a quarterback, who do you put in quarantine? And Bruce Arians said that he wanted to have a quarterback in quarantine. Well, without these preseason games and with the training camp schedule being up in the air, does Reed Sinnett, is he able to get the playbook down fast enough to beat out a Ryan Griffin? Or is he someone that is now just basically a practice squad candidate because you kind of have to keep Ryan Griffin on the roster?
But again, we're not thinking outside the box. We're not thinking of the big picture here. When I throw the comparison of what's more important, the preseason games where they don't call the whole playbook, they don't run schemes, they don't game plan, or the training camp where they do the work, you guys are instantly thinking, well, if there's no preseason, we don't get to see any of these rookies. No, the NFL and all their genius will just have 32 versions of Hard Knocks. They'll televise training camp. Yeah. And boom, you've got content all day for the entire training camp live. So that said, it's also a controlled environment.
But it is different going up against a different team than the old team in practice. And that's what they want to see.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's also a different time and age we're in right now. So you're going to have to sacrifice either half of one or half the other. But maybe it's a better idea just not to have the live action and do the training camp. That said, again, no one's answering my question. When we have players who have practiced together for a couple of days or longer and one tests positive, you're not talking about elevating one player, Reed Sinnett, to the team. You're going to have to account for every player that came in contact with that guy and every coach and every trainer. Yep. So one player testing positive puts half of the roster under quarantine. So the NFL right now is living in a pipe dream. They're living in a pipe dream.
That's why I stated that the last thing you want to see in the world is they show up, everybody tests in, but you don't know when they go home, who they're contacting, did their wives or girlfriends meet somebody for tea? And the players, the last thing I want to see is day one over at the Advent Health Facility, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, and all of them standing in one close circle, because you're right, dude, that they would have to then be quarantined. I got to imagine that these teams, as silly as it seems, guys, they've got to have some plan for being able to keep these players isolated in practice.
Exactly. But you also, it's not just the test coming in the building when they all report. How long does it take for the symptoms to manifest? So it's not just like, hey, the first day we had 2 players that are quarantined, we're good. You could find out the next day you had 2 more. And on the 3rd day, 5 more. And on the 6th day, more. And now you have to quarantine everybody that those players have come in contact in those 3 or 4 days. And you realize half your roster can't touch or be around each other. So
I don't disagree with that, but I have a bigger issue with having 32 version teams, because you know what? Sometimes you need that contact. You need those days, so that way you have a practice girl to get ready for the hits that you're going to take for the NFL season. You need those.
But you sacrifice a controlled environment for 2 glorified practices and pads?
I mean,
Well,
it
they've been.
makes
Sorry,
lot-
go ahead, Peter.
No, it makes lots of sense. I know what he's saying. You're exactly right. And if it comes down to it, we've heard from Dr. Fauci about it. If 3 or 4 players test positive, then basically what he's saying is you have to shut down the whole league for at least 2 weeks or maybe a month. So
or at least one team.
Right. I mean,
and then what happens? They forfeit the game that Sunday?
It's kind of been rumored around about having extra teams, and obviously it's not going to be the NFL talent of an actual roster, but to set up 4 different teams away from other teams and pull those guys and place them onto the roster. I mean, it's doesn't seem feasible, but it's something that's being discussed right now.
We should be able to expand the roster anyway, because when offensive linemen and defensive linemen are going to crash into each other because it's all about the trenches, someone is going to get sick. It's just a matter of time. We're prolonging the inevitable. The practice squad should be part of the regular squad, and the coach should go through his 90-man roster to see who's going to make his 53-man roster week by week for the NFL season.
You can't. That's the problem here, is that we're looking at a situation where it could be the quarterback coach.
Yep.
Right? So now you've got 4 quarterbacks in training camp. The quarterback coach has COVID. Those 4 have to be quarantined, but those 4 have also been working out with the wide receivers, the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. So here we are. Now we're worried about preseason games, and we just fast forwarded here earlier in the conversation to during the season when someone tests positive. Does this team have to forfeit a game? I mean, I think you're looking at 2 different ends of the spectrum here. So I don't think they can pull it off without increasing rosters, and this will sound outrageous, but they literally have to go to with like college style rosters, like 100 players. They have to.
Yeah,
because one player could sit down 12 guys.
Unless they're going to go to a bubble scenario where they keep everybody in a bubble, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen because these NFL players have their families, and I'm not sure.
Well, and that's the thing. The other part is if the players leave the facility after each practice or each game, they go home to their families. All right, well, let's go ahead and check social media. Are these NFL players all practicing social distancing and doing the right thing? A lot are, but there's a lot that aren't.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So now what do you do with them? Do you even let them back in the building?
Well, I mean, if I'm an NFL team or a coach or general manager or even an owner, I come down and I would say, look, you get this much incentive if you do this, this, and this. Maybe you give those players some incentive so they're able to social distance and they have masks and stuff like that. Or maybe you put restrictions on them. You can't go here, you can't go there. And I know it sounds crazy because people will be out there, well, that's violating somebody's rights. Well, at the end of the day, it's about safety of not only that player, but their families and also the other players' families and the players. So,
guys, let me ask you this. So if one team, let's just say team whatever, Alpha, does get decimated and they have to go to like almost half their roster is that backup roster. You got guys that were delivering, working at Safeway with Kurt Warner last week, and now they're on a roster somewhere. It's almost, you can think about a team being fielded, and the football for that team would almost be as bad as the teams that were getting fielded back in '87 after the NFL strike. My question to you guys is, if that team's playing against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs that weekend, are you interested to watch to see how bad they can rip them up? Because there's no mercy rule in football. I mean, that could be one of the storylines of the 2020 season.
Yeah. And the NFL is all about competitive advantage, which is why stadiums being some of them full and some of them not, I don't think is a possibility either. It's going to be very tricky. And as for the bubble, as you heard from Jason and Devin McCourty, that's not something they're willing to do. And those players have a lot of pull and a lot of power. And I'm sure they speak for a lot of players, not just on the Patriots, but around the league, that's something they're not willing to do for 5 months, is go into a bubble to play football away from their families and friends and all that. So it's going to be interesting. And, we all want a season to happen. But the reality is, if something like, the dude has spoken on happens, we can't guarantee that there is a season. And it's just, it's a wait and see.
Yeah, and I think there's a possibility of players, possibly kind of saying, you know what, I'm going to opt out. You had Ryan Zimmerman the other day in Major League Baseball. You had a couple other players. You've had NBA players. Is there a possibility, dude, at this juncture that you could see maybe some players saying, you know what, it's not worth it. We're just going to go ahead and call it a day and opt out and come back next year. Could you see that happening?
I mean, look at it this way. All right. You're a 5-year veteran in the NFL. You've made at least approximately $5 million. You got a wife, young kid. To me, it's literally probably a 40-60 shot that you'll be exposed to COVID if you go and play in the NFL. Again, the problem isn't, we talked about one player gets tested positive, how many other players have to quarantine. The other part of that is, think of the NFL's task and the team. They have to contact trace these players when they leave the facility. And not only them, their immediate people they come in contact with, wife, kids, whoever, brothers, sisters, whoever they live with or intermingle with. So literally the NFL is going to have to watch everybody, everything they do. And if they don't, we're going to see multiple cases, and it's not going to be like beginning of the season, a bunch of them, and it drops off. It's going to be a roller coaster up and down. So to answer your question, I don't think it's feasible, not in a contact sport like this. Baseball, maybe. Hockey, I don't think so. Definitely not basketball. It's working sort of in NASCAR, but they're at 200 miles an hour with a couple 1,000 pounds of steel around them. So it's not like it's not like they're touching each other. So it's heartbreaking because of where the Buccaneers sit and what they're poised for this season. But I think we all have to deal with the unholy thought that there might not be an entire season of the NFL. And if there is, exactly what level of play will it be?
Yeah.
Like, if 6 starting quarterbacks go down with COVID and a couple of their weapons, their wide receivers and running back go down too, we basically are going to have a very juiced up version of the XFL.
Well, to be fair, it was really only about 6 teams anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at a potential. It's a very high risk, high reward, because as Peter and I have talked off air, the NFL is going to do everything they can to pull this off because the ratings will be through the roof. Right now, each person on this screen and everybody in the comment section across all 3 platforms this show is on is literally chomping at the bit to watch real live sports content, American football, baseball, whatever, any of it. But we all know football's king in this country.
Yep.
And right now, I don't want to watch with stands in the fans. Bullshit. You'll watch. Trust me. You're watching Madden games right now, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So miss me with that. But gentlemen, Alex, Joshua, Peter, Ray disappeared. He must be practicing a guitar again. Great job tonight. Great job as usual. Unfortunately, the dude's cup is totally empty, so I got to go fill it with a beverage. But guys, great job tonight. Figured I'd drop a few things in there for people to think about and a different point of view. That said, we want NFL to happen. We need NFL to happen to get some happiness and some unity in our life. But at the end of the day, we're still talking about humans and human lives. So hopefully it plays out. And if it doesn't play out well, hopefully the NFL does the right thing. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. Peace.
Good stuff. There you go, dude. Bringing it here. So want to get you guys out of here. Alex Fleming, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Well, I can be your private dancer, your dancer for money off of Rent a Friend. But let's be serious here. Turf Talk, Saturday mornings, politics, sports. You can't escape it. If you've been alive for the last month and a half, you know what the hell's been going on. Tune in, you might learn something. All of my stuff is factual. That's what makes it even worse. Sports Talk Unfiltered. Don't know if we're going to be at the studio tomorrow, but I believe we will have something. I'm in the works for something in the future. You know, I don't want to be scary or anything. It's not going to be a horror movie. But I think that we need more fan interaction. So I'm going to try to think about something like Jizza from the Wu-Tang Clan and try to develop something. Speaking of develop something, the W. Yes, 40 is the new 20. Unless you're as old as Ray, then 50 is the new 30, but that's neither here nor there. And last but not least, I still have love for the Truth Serum football people. Yes, they excommunicated me. They treated me like Bane. They didn't like some of the things I had to say. I was showing them some Scott videos. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know about that. It's where the old professor went to the college and asked them to switch roles with people who look like me that might be a little bit scary, and it made them really uncomfortable because nobody stood up. But that's neither here nor there. Peter Blake, thank you for having me. Happy birthday, Ray. You looked excellent in the red, white, and blue, and I'm talking about your shirt, not your skin tone. Joshua Allen, thank you, man. It was a spirited debate. It was great. I want to put some wings on it. I got Buffalo winning the division. Put some wings on it. If you're a man, put some wings on it.
I got you. Let's do it. We'll go to Wings, Brandon Merriweather's place.
Oh, see, now that's what's up. If you like it, then you should have put a wing on it. There we go. So I got wings with Pete. I got wings with Joshua Cole Allen. I'm a private dancer for anybody who needs a rent-a-friend. Come see me Saturday. I'll try not to be scary.
All right, good stuff, Alex Fleming. Thanks a lot for coming on the Sports Web. Go ahead, Joshua Cole Allen, promote yourself.
You can find me at Twitter always at Joshua_C_Allen. Happy birthday, Ray. Sorry the song was off key, but like my son, I was going to hit the high note. I also have something in the works. If you missed it the other day, I'm launching my own show soon here on Bucs Report. I'm aiming for a July 14th date. Got my logo done, trying to just get everything else, put together. It's going to be called The Audible with Joshua Cole Allen, so make sure you look out for that. I'm going to have great content. Got some great guests already lined up for the show. Excited about that. I'll have an article out here by Friday on the camp battles between the linebackers. Just, grinding like, Peter says, and like all you guys, I want to thank you. And, I appreciate all of you for the support and love you guys show me. And I'll probably be back here on Friday, as you know.
All right, good stuff, Joshua Cole Allen, our newest writer here, always grinding. Thanks a lot for coming on The Evolution, all right?
Always, Peter.
All right, there you go. Let's go ahead and go out to Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, go ahead and promote yourself, my friend.
Everybody out there, I'm on Sunday mornings, Cup of Ray, go off usually at 10 or 11, depends on, if there's anything else going on that day. But Peter, I wanted to say a special, well, first of all, thank you to all the Bucs to Bucs Report faithful out there, and for all you guys, Joshua Cole, I loved it. I even love Gabe's rendition of Happy Birthday. I can't thank y'all enough. That was special. Thank you. But Peter, thank you to you for setting me up with my software on my new laptop. So anyone who's out there who's watched a Cup of Ray, and hopefully there's a few of you that are faithful watchers, it's going to be coming at you in a whole new level with a whole new platform here this Sunday. Still going to keep it simple, but thank you again, Peter. Looking forward to us getting together again, and we can continue making our plans for this upcoming season for our live game day Bucs Report shows.
All right, good stuff there, Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, thanks a lot for coming on The Evolution. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
Love you too, bro. All right, there you go. Good stuff. Let's go out to the web heads here, and then we'll end the call or end the night. I know that Johnny Dean is calling in. If you want to call in, get your final call in. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Hopefully my voice is okay. It's been about 3.5 hours here of sports talk. So let's go out to the web heads. I agree, Alex. Tampa Prep AB has no issues. We've kind of gone through that. AB just needs a ring. Also, Lamar and his little cousin, both from down south. Johnny Dean, the professor, welcome back to The Evolution. What's on your mind, boss?
Just wanted to chime in on some of the stuff that the dude said.
Yeah.
The preseason football and all that stuff. Yeah, you had a pretty lady there say something about not wearing masks and she wouldn't sign a waiver and stuff.
Mhm.
See, that's the point. That's the point. Preseason football, all that stuff doesn't even matter as long as people are doing that, man, because it's not going to end. So until people realize, hey, I have to wear a seatbelt mandatorily or I have to pay a fine.
Right.
Do the mask thing, people. You're and it's not about you. It's not about you. It's keeping others safe from you.
Okay. Good stuff, Johnny Dean. What else?
Until everybody gets that, there ain't gonna be a football season. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen because they keep spreading it. They keep it going. That's it.
All right, Johnny Dean, the professor. Thanks a lot for coming on the Sports Web. Appreciate you. All right. Get better.
Bye.
All right. There you go. Good stuff. All right. Let's keep on reading these comments and then we'll end it for the night. What other sports talk show gives you a former scout who breaks down everything that you want, X's and O's? What other sports talk show gives you guests that talk constantly about football and about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and take your questions? We have no commercials tonight besides the first 2 minutes of the broadcast. And then after that, we give you all the calls you want. Gabe from Oklahoma, what's on your mind? Last call for the night.
Yes, it is. It's my last call for the night, and I couldn't be happier.
Okay.
So I do not want the preseason to exist anymore. Like, I get the idea of wanting to send out your young players and evaluate them, but I don't think it's a good idea to do it, basically, because I've made this comparison before, but I can think of preseason games as a 2016 version of Ghostbusters. It's overhyped. It was overhyped, and whenever it dropped, it was awful to watch.
Good
And
stuff. That's very true. I absolutely agree with you on that. A lot of people were looking forward to that movie, but it definitely didn't live up to the hype because it didn't have the main characters in it. People weren't looking to watch it. So, yeah, good stuff. Anything else, Gabe?
Yes. Since I told you about it, my grandfather got out of surgery last week, and he's back home, and he's all safe and sound.
God bless, man. God bless. I'm glad to
So-
hear that, buddy. And like I said, we're here for you here to take your mind off of the daily rigors of bills and, of course, things you can't control. And definitely keep on calling, boss. All right, appreciate you. God
All right.
bless.
Thank you so much for your support, Pete.
Yeah, man.
It's been a really hectic week for me.
Well, hey, man, if we can bring some joy to your life with some sports talk and some fun and some games and some singing and stuff like that, that's what we do here on The Evolution. All right?
It's been a week, and I already have like 5 different jokes about me.
You just keep on being a webhead here and keep on showing up. All right?
All righty, will do. I'll talk to you on Friday, and I hope the rest of the show goes as planned when you go to sleep at the end.
All right, kid. Appreciate you. All right?
You too. Love you, Bucs Report. I will go to sleep now.
All right, buddy. Go to sleep. There you go. Good stuff. And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what it's all about. Not to brag, but I love what we're doing here. You know, I really do. And I hope you guys love what we're doing here. We're giving you something totally different that hasn't been seen before. And look, we need sponsors. Of course we do. Would we like to have commercials? Of course. But I've been in radio before, and I know that game. It's 53 minutes, and the rest are commercials. We give you 3.5 hours with no commercials. Is it always football talk? Most likely it is. Do we talk? Do we joke around a little bit, laugh with you? Absolutely we do, because we have to in these crazy times. But I definitely hope you tune in to Friday night. We'll have Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach scout and now media member of Night Sports Productions, and of course, Ozzy the Sports Junkie of OzzyTheSportsJunkie.com, who does a great job, and we'll have him on starting at 9 o'clock. So both of those guys, but tonight was phenomenal. We'll read these comments and then we'll get out of here. But hopefully you've been satisfied tonight. And once again, hopefully we can take your mind off of what's been going on, because these are not normal times. And I wouldn't expect you to not be a little bit crazy at this juncture, because there is so much of an unknown. There really is. So, all right, let's see here. Peter said we are throwing a party in your backyard Saturday. Oh, really? All right. Dude's got Turf Talk on July 4th. Absolutely. Good stuff. Do you guys grill on barbecue on the 4th? Absolutely. I do, but I don't barbecue. I let somebody else do that. Of course, I've told you about my kitchen stories. Not very good. I'm not a good cook. Peter, if he wants to have a journal, leave him alone. We read that comment. I always enjoyed that. Gabe's dramatic pauses. Peter is for the people. Absolutely for the people here. Bring in AB. Why not? Says Brody. Thanks a lot for calling in. Todd, Thanks a lot for calling in, Gabe. Absolutely. Alex is scary. You're spot on. Bo T Prep. Which Johnny Dean is this, Facebook or YouTube? Johnny Dean, you're so lame. Now, come on now. Don't be calling names to Johnny Dean there. Johnny Dean is a good guy who is definitely a big part of the show. All right, let's see here. Read these comments. You score enough points. We're good. Forget horrible defense. You ever really see Alex Fleming's arms? That's scary. Laugh out loud. We have so many damn options. Tampa Prep. I know Fleming cheesing because he could pick the whole team of the Bucs on fantasy football. Blackie. OJ will play wide receiver more than tight end. Certainly a possibility. Thanks, T Prep. Appreciate you. Johnny Dean, I would actually shy away from any Bucs receiver in fantasy except maybe Godwin because of his yak, but I will be focused on picking up solo weapons for fantasy. Definitely tune in to Alex Fleming and Fantasy and Flavors. Once again, the big news of the night, joining up with LandryFootball.com. The future of that is bright. There will be lots of content. I can definitely assure you of that. Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Brate, Howard, Miller, Johnson, Claire, stop playing. We are loaded. Tampa Prep. Evans will be a great option for fantasy red zone threat. Everyone will expect Gronk. Blackie says Alex is on fire. Dylan, bro, AB's music isn't terrible, but for sure not better than my favorite music. AB's music is terrible. I'm sorry. Don't be nice. Sup, Blake Anthony. Dylan, you're like 20 minutes late. Laugh my ass off. Facts, no days off for Josh. Yeah, Josh's grind is hard. Go follow him on Twitter. Put him on the map. He's already on the map. He's involved with Bucs Report and the Sports Web. I can assure you, anybody that's involved with this platform and this show will be on the map. So now we're talking about players because I know some things behind the scenes from former coaching. Okay. Laugh out loud. I had audio on. I was in another tab. Not just a regular coach either. Okay. All right, Tampa Prep. But I won't break the news because his folks might not like it. Shooty Shoots Up, Sports Web. What's going on, buddy? True Dylan. My name is okay. Pat's Junkie Shooty. What's going on with you, man? Dylan, phone lines are packed tonight. They are. Tio wasn't that bad. Hey, Pat's Junkie. Blackie Lawless, what's up? Says Blake. Yeah, says Tampa Prep. Shooty Shoots changed that name to Bucs Junkie. It's about to be lit. Absolutely. Haha on it. All right, there you go. Good stuff. Tampa Prep. This guy has been talking for an hour at least. It feels like it. Bucs will be fun to watch for sure. David Spade says Johnny Dean, the professor. David Spade is in the house. Christopher Cole was set on offense and defense, but depth on both lines is something to be concerned about. Redskins might lose some sponsors over their name, says Tampa Prep. Alex, why are you looking like that? If he doesn't feel safe, he doesn't feel safe. Gabe, I'll take those tickets, Josh. Kevin, Cam is starting for sure. It's his job to lose. Let's be real here. Johnny Dean, I feel like the dude appearance is coming soon. Okay, there we go. And it's a no dude Wednesday, says Travis Rayleigh, who is trolling right now. Ray's play that thing. Ray playing Kumbaya is what this show absolutely needed. Taylor Allen, yes. Ray, yes. Very good. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl champs 2020, says Joey. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Johnny Dean, the dude, abides. Who is talking? Is this guy the new guest host? Taylor Allen. Taylor Allen, thanks a lot for tuning in. Laugh out loud, Johnny. Let's bet some wings on it, says Taylor Allen. Christopher Cole, I believe that Evans and Thomas are tied for second in the South. Dylan, Alex bringing the heat. Johnny Dean, Alex, the flamethrower of fantasy and flavors. Bina, I love you. Johnny Dean, Chiefs are already in cap hell. Bears suck. Dylan, yes, they need to win now because when they pay Mahomes, say goodbye to Honey Badger and Chris Jones. Honey Badger's up there. Chris Jones is definitely a possibility of moving on to somewhere else, as we talked about tonight. Oh, hell, I forgot Ray was still there. Speak up, Ray Kennedy. Absolutely. Bucs Report. Happy birthday to Ray Kennedy. Johnny Dean. Taylor. What's going on? Christina, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I want to see a debate between Travis Rayleigh and Alex Fleming. That would be definitely good. Yep. Packers versus Bucs. Brady versus Rodgers. I'll be there. Yes. Neither, says Christina. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate you. Christina Ray Copulos, can't wait to see you. AB is drama, not worth it. Agree. It's to be a dumbass. He's drama next. The words are being printed all over Joshua Cole Allen's face, and Alex Fleming's name is covering it up. Dylan says those few months were so wild with AB. We thought the frostbite on the toes and helmet was crazy. That was only the tip of the iceberg. Very good, Dylan, with the stuff there, bringing it up. CTE. Johnny Dean says, Travis Bailey, it's time for the dude to save some time for you, bro. Christina, thanks a lot for chiming in here. Very cool. Time for the dude. Taylor Allen, sex dolls and a friend finder. Oh, Alex. Rent a friend. Gabe says, for F's sake, Travis, I want to talk to these guys again. You will get a chance to. Oh, hey, Josh, I don't believe it. Bring back sports. Christina says, there you go. Good stuff. Oh, God, please stop singing, Josh. Oh, my. Dylan says, Josh, you were hurting Johnny's ears. Dylan, have to say it was pretty good until the last verse there. Laugh out loud. Pete pays me by the word. It says Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. Laugh out loud. Good is a moderate term for don't quit your day job. Laugh out loud. Gabe, he pays you in wings. Gabe with the burn. Jeez. Geez, Gabe, there you go. Let's see here. Josh says, Saltburn, I'll go easy on him. Dylan, Alex had to leave. Johnny Dean, gotta admit, Gabe was better than Joshua's. Ouch. Yeah, I didn't try. Laugh out loud. Christopher, the dude abides. Absolutely. Oklahoma voice, I'm sorry, Ray XD. Happy 30th birthday. Dylan with the big board. Be on Friday, Peter. We'll see if we can get Andrew Fulbeer, the Canadian big board, the Canadian correspondent. The dude finally decided to show up 3 hours in, Johnny. He's supposed to be right. Dylan, with all these comments, this could go almost 4 hours. Don't bet on it, but we're getting close. I'm trying to make him go 5. Laugh out loud. Also, Alex, that arena was packed. Those pics you've probably seen were cropped for only the top decks and omitted the bottom rows. Okay. Edit at the Tulsa rally. Johnny Dean says the Buccaneers has the current show. Absolutely. We've seen that. Great job by Buccaneers.com on that. Taylor Allen, I need the money. Private dancer for money. Do what you want me to do. Good stuff from Tina Turner, sang by Alex Fleming. Unbelievable. Whoops. There goes Ray. You got wings with me too, Alex. Taylor Allen, everyone wants football, but is the risk worth it right now? That's the biggest question. It really is. Dylan, I completely agree. Johnny, don't understand why people can't just wear a mask. People always think there's someone out there trying to get them. Also, congrats on joining them. Absolutely, Gabe. Thank you very much. More comments. Gabe, there's no boogeyman waiting around the corner, waiting for you to wear a mask to strip your rights or whatever some of these people think. Jordan says, my fantasy team name is definitely going to be Teriyaki 6x9. That's funny. Hopefully it does well. He's done pretty good for himself. I'm not going to lie. His music stinks, but a lot of people like it, and he makes lots of money. And he has lots of pretty women in his videos. I'm not going to lie. Perfect XD. Gabe says it's either that or former FSU kicker. And Isaiah, sorry guys, late. What did I miss? What did you miss? Thanks to the great Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. What did you miss? We're joining up with that platform, Bucs Report and the Sports Web. So lots of great content coming from Twitch, that Twitch channel there. Of course, thank you to Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. His birthday was tonight. How old are you? I don't know. I'm not about to say. What do you say? 51. So happy birthday to him. He provided great analysis tonight. We had the flamethrower himself, Mr. Alex Fleming of Fantasy and Flavors. And of course, our newest writer here, Joshua Cole Allen. Again, join me on Friday for the evolution of sports talk television. Join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook. Of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And Twitch is coming. Say that 3 times. Friday night, Leo Haggerty. And of course, Ozzy, the sports junkie. Do 3 things for me on this early Thursday morning. Bring your passion. Bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night, and the future's bright on Bucs Report and the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. See you on Friday. You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
At Life's a Beach Realty, we're all about life on the beach. Stunning Panama City Beach and one of the most beautiful properties on the Gulf Coast, Shores of Panama. Radiant, elegant, and spectacular. Steps away from white sugar sand, every room overlooks the turquoise of the Gulf of Mexico. Come in for your tour today. Life's a Beach Realty is your gateway to Shores of Panama, the shores, and a whole lot more.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
Bruce Arians here with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During these difficult times, it's important that we all show we care about our community's health. You could spread COVID-19 without knowing it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance from each other, stay strong, and go Bucs.
Realizing my potential has been what my career has been all about. Things that I've dreamed about have actually come true.
The Patriots have won Super Bowl 36. Unbelievable.
Things have happened in my life as I kind of hoped they would happen. It's been, just a complete evolution. You know, how I just kept kind of fighting and clawing to continue to power forward. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep trying to make progress. So when I look at over 20 years, I look how far I've come. But there's not one step that I took where I realized, look how far I've come. But those series of steps that I put together, I go, wow, that's quite a journey.